This is episode, what, 5?
Yes.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Halfway to 10.
That's crazy.
Bro, that's nuts. Think about it. There's 52 weeks in a year, so we'll have 52 episodes up until next April.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Ooh, kicked my mic. Oops.
That's a lot of episodes.
I didn't even think about 52.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot, yeah. Especially once a week. Obviously, once we grow, we'll keep doing more.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we'll do like either 2 a week or one episode, one live stream that we can just turn into a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
And we've already upgraded our studio here.
Yeah, no more bins. Although there's a
They
couple bins
don't
still
they don't
here,
they
yeah.
don't see the
They don't
bins.
see it, but
They were now it's not looking like a makeshift studio. It's looking like actual.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Eric for that because it wouldn't be possible without him.
for real.
But
Or what?
aren't the tripods his?
No, these are mine.
He bought these.
I
yeah.
bought these.
Oh, I didn't know. Well,
No, those aren't
oh,
Eric's.
well, thank you for
Clutch.
that.
Yes.
Clutch, Anthony.
These are mine. They're not Eric's.
Yeah,
I didn't
Shout
ask him
out,
to bring
Aaron.
anything.
just watch the Wire.
Where is it?
Oh yeah,
Here?
the pillow also because like you might
Yeah.
like accidentally bump that, you know. But yeah,
You may not want to have this.
you're good, bruh.
Yeah, usually on the wood. Pause.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect.
Perfetto.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mother's Day. Hello.
Do we want to say Happy Mother's Day?
Can we say
to
that?
everybody out there?
Yeah, I think we definitely got to wish
Before we start.
wish all the mothers.
Take
out
it away, Anthony.
Yeah, so we're filming this the day before Mother's Day on Saturday, which is weird because usually it's on a Sunday, but it's not a Sunday, it's Saturday. So everybody that's seen this on Wednesday, it'll be 3 days after Mother's Day. But to everybody out there, Happy Mother's Day if you are a mother.
First of all, credit to you if you're a mom and you're watching the pod.
Yeah,
That's commitment, right?
if you are a mother
Awesome.
watching the pod, we appreciate you. We see you, but not physically. But yeah, and everybody else that is listening that has a mother, that's still around,
Or is a mother.
or just take the day and
Future
just spend
mothers.
time with them.
Yeah.
Reflect on the memories because a lot of people don't realize, but without our mothers or women in general, us men, or even women
Just
as well,
anyone
anyone will not be here
wouldn't be
without
here.
them.
That's right. That's right.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
This is
So,
true.
My
And
mom.
can I just shout out your
My mom. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got to.
Mrs.
Go ahead.
Covino has been a godsend for the Floor Spacer pod. If you guys
without a
are
doubt.
subscribed to us, it's because of Mrs. Covino. And also your dad as well, Mr.
Of course.
Covino. But,
Yeah.
but Mrs. Covino specifically.
His time will be next month.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
coming up. He's next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's been clutch too.
Yes, very
But
clutch.
Mrs. Covino, she prepares meals for us,
Yeah.
prepares the room for us.
Yeah.
She buys certain things. So she's like a huge part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out to
And she's the goat,
shout out
man.
to her.
Yeah.
But that's essentially the gist of that. Obviously, we wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day, happy, healthy Mother's Day. And yeah, Gio just cheers in his energy drink to many more. So, but yeah, welcome everyone to episode number 5 of the Floor Spacer podcast. That was a really nasty voice crack early on to the episode.
So
It's gonna be a long one.
It's gonna be a long
we have one hand done. Now we got to do the other hand, and then after 10, that's it.
Yeah, and then we just
We have
keep
no
going.
hands
We're not
left.
done after 10. We're just
No,
gonna
we're
keep
not. But
going.
we're done with the two hands.
Yeah.
It's just infinite amount of hands.
We're still in our early days, the dog days, maybe. I don't know how you would properly describe it, but we're getting to more of a groove, more of a rhythm. We're starting to be, a lot more comfortable with what we do. And obviously, we have experience with stuff like this. Like, obviously, we did the radio show back in college, which we could talk more in depth
I did
on
not do
someday.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Gio
but obviously,
was not a part of
you've
that.
done stuff, right? I mean, I've obviously done a lot of like streaming and YouTube stuff on Twitch and stuff. So,
No,
I mean,
I
I
don't
don't.
do stuff.
So you're kind of
This
new
is
into all
brand
of
new.
no,
this. Yeah,
he's
Brand
this
new.
all new.
yeah.
I'm adjusting.
I mean, you're a natural
got-
though with this, so
Yeah.
Wouldn't say that, but I'll take it.
it's, yeah.
I'll take it.
No, you'll take it. But look, I mean, we got obviously a lot to get into today, which I'll touch on in just a minute. But what have y'all just been thinking of the playoffs so far, without revealing any information of what we will talk about? Because obviously, this playoffs has been very interesting compared to years past.
I don't know what stands out to me the most. I feel like it's, I don't know. Do you have something?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say overall, it's been kind of underwhelming
I was just gonna go there.
in terms of blowouts. Too many blowouts for me.
Even the close games have just not been. I don't know. I'm not getting a good vibe from these playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe we've been spoiled in the past. Such good basketball, so we're expecting like that to be the same, and it's I don't know. It just hasn't been to that level, but it's still fun. It's still basketball. It's
I
still
also
playoffs.
feel like just another factor is that we grew up not only when we were very little with LeBron being in almost every playoff series down the line, and then Steph after. This is the first playoffs we're seeing,
Right.
I guess, post first round with no LeBron
Yeah.
and Steph
And KD.
That's key.
and KD.
So it's a transition phase.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what
we're
it is.
seeing the new wave of stars come in.
Yeah.
And, we're not seeing our GOATs that we grew up with. Not to mention that they're going to be around forever, that we want them to be like, no, there's going to be new play. I mean, Ant-Man is the new GOAT for us now, I think, this year for this.
That's a bit of a stretch, but
We'll go for the playoffs this year.
But yeah, no, I think let us know in the comments what you guys think of the playoffs so far. Obviously, has it lived up to your expectations? Obviously, people's opinions change. If you're a more LeBron, KD fan, you're going to say it sucks. But if you're a Timberwolves fan or a Knicks fan, you're going to say it's been great.
Yeah.
So
right.
Obviously, we will get into each sort of series and kind of what we think and what we can expect to go into this. Obviously, we have a couple stories to get into first, which we'll touch on after this intro because we record these in segments because we don't have the most top tier equipment. We kind of do these in spurts.
Yeah.
That's why you see the little nice transition in between each thing we do.
My MacBook will literally blow up.
Yeah, it's also good for editing, so Tyler knows what starts and what ends.
Yeah, it's going to just make my life a lot easier. And Gio can't see half of his MacBook screen anyways. Yeah. So,
It's pretty bad.
hopefully you can get a new one. You upgraded the phone. I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah.
No,
we got a new
it's
one.
not half. It's literally like probably
It's like a third, fourth.
No, it's a fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
fourth.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's a fourth.
But yeah, obviously we'll get into that. We have some coaching news to get into, which is very important, which we'll talk about. And then I have a good question to sort of bring up at the end. We're going to start doing these like mini debates amongst the three of us or two of us or whatever. I think it's just something unique we can add to the show, something new. And just let us know what you guys think once we get to that point. So,
Yeah, and we don't know what the question is, so you're going to get our best reaction out of whatever it is.
Raw.
Exactly. All authentic. If any of you guys have a name for it, definitely let us know. That's obviously something we can figure out. We'll obviously rotate it as each episode goes along. And obviously, before we dive right in, if you guys are new, remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment, anything that just helps us out, gets the algorithm going. If you are on Spotify, which we are on Spotify now, link down in the description. Give us a 5-star rating on there. Chuck us a follow. We're going to get on Apple Podcasts very soon. We're still trying to work out the kinks with all of that. And then we'll sort of just gradually post all the previous episodes up until we're up to date like we are on Spotify now. And follow us on all our socials, Twitter, Insta, TikTok, all our personal ones as well, which are all listed right below on the screen. And anything else for you guys before we dive right in?
Let's do it.
Let's roll.
All right, let's do it.
I got good socks today, right?
Yes, you do.
Thanks.
I'm very proud.
Thank you. I did that for you. I wore them today.
Progress.
Because I looked at my drawer. I was like, which one should I wear today?
Ones with no holes.
The holes or the non-holes?
I have a bigger problem with you calling it a draw.
What?
It's a drawer.
Drawer.
It's a drawer. Drawer.
Wait,
drawer.
same thing, huh?
It's a drawer.
Draw.
Drawer.
The draw.
I know it. Like draw.
drawer.
Like draw.
Draw is a drawer. Drawer.
What do you call it?
Drawer.
Drawer.
You call it a drawer?
Drawer.
Yeah.
Not a drawer.
I call it the draw.
The draw.
No, that sounds so bad.
I call it how you spell it. The draw.
Yeah. So when
The
you
drawer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so-
open the drawer.
yeah. So do you draw a picture then?
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
drawer a
Okay.
picture? Okay, that's
I
fine.
do both.
that's fine. English.
English.
Whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think I'll keep that in.
Yeah, keep that in,
It's good
keep that in.
dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, keep that in.
But into our first story of the day, which is something that we kind of knew was happening, right? We saw my headphones. Sorry. We saw Darvin Ham get fired last week by the Lakers, and we kind of figured the Suns would follow suit with Frank Vogel, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. So the Suns fired Frank Vogel after just one season, the first season of a 5-year contract, which means they're going to be paying that man till what, like 2029?
28.
Or 2028,
For Connolly the
yeah.
first season.
Yeah, just feels like a scapegoat. Just another name added to the list of coaches fired under Kevin Durant.
Wait, he was fired after one season?
Yeah, this is Vogel's first year.
First season.
Yeah, because Monty moved to Detroit.
Keep in mind too that he was fired after what, his second season with the Lakers, 1
Yeah.
year after winning a ring.
That's insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
I'm telling you, when you have stars as big as LeBron, as big as KD, It's the team will always side with them in most circumstances, unless you're Joe Tsai and you're an absolute idiot, then you're going to always side with your franchise player, and not necessarily your franchise player. It's your egotistical franchise players. And do those guys have a right to talk their shit? Absolutely. I mean, they're some of the best players to ever play the game. But at the end of the day, just you gotta take accountability at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like I guarantee you, Darvin Ham got blamed for getting for the Lakers losing, but he would have gotten no credit if the Lakers had won a championship. It would have all gone to LeBron. So with Frank Vogel, obviously first season, they just were doomed from the start since the Bradley Beal trade, in my opinion, at least. I don't know what you guys think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But they just could never stay healthy. They were very top heavy. They have no cap flexibility. They just pretty much used all of it on Grayson Allen. And now you lose in 4 games, the second sweep in 3 years for Kevin Durant. You lose at the hands of Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously not a very popular decision amongst NBA fans, especially amongst analysts and pundits. So I'll ask you guys, whichever one of you wants to answer first. What are your thoughts on just the firing of Frank Vogel?
You want me to take it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's another thing, like scapegoat thing. I know Deontay Murray tweeted right after he got fired saying that, why Deontay, yeah.
Oh, Deontay.
Deontay Murray.
It's DeJounte.
DeJounte Murray.
Okay.
He tweeted, he was like, why is it always the coaches? The players got to take the accountability. And I think Vogel is a prime example of that. Me and Gio were talking about, or I don't know if it's me and Gio, but with Vogel can go back to the Lakers possibly, but I don't know about that. We can say that for another day. But I think I don't think he had much to work with there with the injuries. And they said they were going to take a lot of time to evaluate him, but it felt like in a few days they made the decision and was to let him go. Regardless, it wasn't like if Vogel would stay and change his staff up, that type of thing. But no, everybody's gone. So now it's another just one season for them. It seems like that they're trusting a lot in their players and more than their leadership right now. It seems like because you're not going to trade Durant, you're not going to trade Booker, you're not going to blow it up. You kind of put it all in the hands of the coach. The coach is the guy that takes the fault for everything, essentially.
Well, they could though. You never know. But
yeah.
I kind of want to touch on the part of evaluating him.
Yeah.
Who?
Did they
Vogel.
Did they evaluate Frank Vogel? It doesn't really seem like they did.
No, I don't think they did at all. That's what I was saying.
It didn't seem like it.
What do you mean by evaluate?
I think they made a statement saying that they were going to take time to evaluate Vogel.
Just kind of see the job he's done, compare
Right.
him to the other coaches in the league, and kind of give them a sense of what the output's going to look like in the next couple of years. And I want to ask you, because I know we've had a lot of dialogue together with Matt Ishbia. How much involvement do you think he's having in the fact of I wouldn't say involvement. How much of his involvement is bad for the Suns?
Matt Ishbia is
The Suns owner.
the Suns' owner.
Yeah, the new owner.
And then James Jones is the GM?
The GM.
Okay.
Correct.
Can you say the question again?
So how is Matt Ishbia's impact hurting the Suns?
Yes. Short answer, yes. And that's because it seems like he doesn't really know basketball. He just threw a bunch of players together and then hired a coach for 5 years. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then you expect him to win. That doesn't. And then you fire him after 1 year. Absolutely no sense. So honestly, I feel bad for Vogel, but he's getting paid. So,
bro, he's got
fine.
generational wealth for the next 5 years or 4 years, I guess.
He's set.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the ownership is horrendous. They did a horrible job from hiring a coach and the players that they signed.
I wouldn't say it's horrendous. Compared to Robert Sarver, it's definitely a very big upgrade.
Okay.
Because obviously all the heinous shit that Sarver did was inexcusable. He needed to go.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, you need an owner that knows what they're doing, or at least to hire people that know what they're doing. And that's the report came out about a couple days ago that he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, it's all just winging it. It's all just big risks, big splashes. And, in the NBA, you can spend a lot of money, but not under this new CBA. You got to be really strategic with your spending. Yeah. And with all of this, it just puts you in a deeper hole. Now that you've given the Brooklyn Nets your entire future for the next decade, if this doesn't work out. Now, obviously, they'll get a return for probably Beal and not Beal, Booker and Durant if shit hits the fan. Yeah. But the fact that you're stuck with a star that you still have to pay over $50 million to the next 3 years with a no trade clause, that is a sticky situation. And
I've heard though that Booker and KD want out of Phoenix. That's the rumors going on.
Yeah, I think you're more apt to see KD leave than Book, because Book's still young. He's still playing at he's still really kind of getting to his peak.
Right.
And I think he really likes it in Phoenix. And I think if you get rid of the other guys, I think you could probably do something. But I think there's just a big issue right now amongst Phoenix with this is just scratching the surface to all the problems they're going to run into. It's literally just like watching Brooklyn 2.0.
Yeah. I think Phoenix has 1 year to figure it out, and then Devin Booker might make his decision to want to leave or to stay. Because if there's no hope for the Phoenix Suns winning, Devin Booker doesn't want to stay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, if the Suns' ownership and GM, if they show that they can put a team together around Booker to win a championship, to compete for a championship, Booker will stay.
Right.
But it's really up to that. So this next year is going to be very important for them. And I hope this firing of Vogel works out for them, just for Booker's sake, for him to stay or to leave. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if the new coach is going to have a longer leash than Vogel did. We'll see. I don't know. It seems like they had no trust in him. They just let him go. They didn't ride it out. Now they're paying also Vogel money too, not to add on for 4 years to add on with Beal as well. You're still, it's another money cap casualty thing they have. But they did it, and Vogel's free to if he wants to coach again, stay around or
make 2 salaries at once.
That's outstanding.
Bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would be looking at it much differently if they signed Vogel to like a 2-year deal or a 1 year with an option, just to see where it went. Of course, I
think it would have been fine because they probably would have just let the contract run out.
Yeah,
and it would have been fine.
Yeah,
you probably could have fired him mid-season, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is just a generational fumble by the Suns. I'm not saying that Vogel's some like Eric Spoelstra type coach, but he asked for a point guard, and you go get Bradley Beal instead. Like, you had CP3. I understand there was definitely upgrades you could have made instead of him, but I just didn't think that was the right move. And at the end of the day, we'll see. And speaking of new coach, I think it's probably time we segue over to the next part of this. The Suns actually quickly found their replacement, and they hired the guy that beat them in the NBA Finals back in 2021, and that's former Bucks coach Mike Budenholzer, someone that was a finalist for the Brooklyn Nets job, which I had just found out the reason why we didn't choose him is because he wanted obscene wages.
And he got it.
And
5 year,
getting it.
5 year, $50 million. Another 5-year contract.
The Nets were not paying that. I mean, there was no way in hell we were going to do that unless we still had Kevin Durant, which we don't. So obviously, Bud has been touted as it's very mixed, right? Because his defensive schemes are great, but his team just never really got it done outside of that 1 year, which was questionable enough in itself. So I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on this hire for one on Budenholzer's end? And then for the Suns' end?
Obviously Budenholzer, he got his money. Credit to him. He whether he does a good job or not, he got his money.
Right.
But for the Suns, I mean, I don't know if this does anything for them with the team that they have right now. They don't have great defensive pieces right now, but I think Budenholzer is, like you said, a good defensive coach, and he can help with that. Discipline on the defensive side of the ball, attention to details, stuff like that. The little things that are very important when you get to the game. He can help with that stuff, but I don't know if that puts him in contender league area. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah. I think I don't know, because it's all a PR stunt at this point, because Vogel's a defensive-minded head coach, and he also won a ring as a defensive-minded head coach. I think that double big lineup they had with AD and Dwight Howard really caused problems. And, I just don't think the Suns' roster's good.
Yeah.
I just don't. Well, it's always good when you have KD, but it's just not good enough, right?
They don't have the pieces.
Exactly.
The bigs, they're small.
KD
was playing what? He was playing 5 sometimes.
Right, because outside of Nurkic, who's only 6'9", like, who else do you have?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
he's only 6'9".
Yeah.
He's huge though.
The way they measure people in the NBA is very strange.
Yeah.
Like, and you know Kamezi Metu?
Yeah.
So he was traded to the Grizzlies in the Royce O'Neal package, and I was in a net space. We were just talking about just like, like player heights and stuff because we needed one. Kamezi Metu was like measured at like 6'10". He's really like 6'7". Yeah, it's like really strange. So
Yeah,
it's really odd. I just love how when it comes to like really tall guys, if you're like 6'10", you're basically a 7-footer.
Yeah.
But there's so many discrepancies between 5'11" and 6 foot.
Right.
It's just like the complete opposite, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I mean, we all knew Bud was going to be back in the NBA if it was not this past year, the next year after. I don't know how deeply the Lakers were looking to get him. I don't think that would have been a good job for him. I think he got a better kind of payday, and a better, I guess, media, less centric city with Phoenix. I'm saying that like very cautiously because Phoenix does have stars and KDs there. Yeah, it seems like he was the guy from the beginning. It was Vogel gone, Bud in. And, they had nobody else that was really interviewed. It was just him. If that was the guy from the beginning, why didn't they just get him last year?
Right.
Why would you raise Vogel for? They wanted Bud. Maybe they couldn't meet his demands at that time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have no idea.
they could have. I'm just trying to think of how the process went out because Suns fired Monty after round 2.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks fired Bud up to round 1. So yeah, they could have. But I don't know. It's always interesting. But I think Bud probably needed a year off.
Yeah.
Very stressful tenure with Milwaukee, both good and bad.
Also, being an NBA coach itself is very stressful.
Right. I think also
regardless.
Also, just avoid the Lakers at all costs, man.
Yeah.
Like,
At least right now.
You're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
I think he took the second of the 2 stressful jobs, being Lakers first, Phoenix second.
I would say the Knicks are probably a more stressful job just due to the market. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not looking for a coach. I'm saying of the openings that were open right now.
Of the open
Lakers
jobs,
were
I would
first.
say that's probably the toughest one right now.
Yeah.
Because outside of LA. But
I think
You're talking about the Knicks?
No,
Phoenix. I think
Phoenix.
I think Knicks overall in the NBA because
Okay.
the Knicks and Lakers, you're dealing with the huge
Biggest.
markets, New York media. You could throw the Nets in there as well,
Yeah.
but people pay more attention to the Knicks
Yeah.
as far as media goes. But out of these current jobs, Lakers, Suns, toxic cesspool beyond belief.
Yeah, I think we have to see what they do and what Bud wants with this team. If it's trading pieces, Beal. If it's, who he wants, who he doesn't want. We'll have to see what, I don't think they're gonna have not really a high draft pick at all either.
They don't have a draft pick.
Oh, they
I
don't have
think.
a draft pick. Okay.
They might have because I know with our picks that we have their 25, 27, 29, and we swap in 26, 28. We might we don't have a pick this year, so we definitely don't swap with them.
Okay.
So
yeah, so I guess it's just kind of
I do think they have a mid-round pick. I think.
okay.
I don't know off the top of my head. But
Mid-first round?
mid-first round, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, they're
Yeah.
not in the lottery, so
Right.
So it's gonna have to just be through free agency, through trades. Apparently, I was reading that the executives in the NBA are expecting just a very trade-heavy summer.
don't know if you're going to even see that, to be honest with you.
I don't know
You're
who the
gonna-
execs are that were saying that.
You're just going to see them
But-
try and run it back with, replacing vet minimum guys with more vet minimum guys.
Yeah.
Because what other flexibility do you have? You're already paying your starting 5 obscene amounts of money anyways.
Yeah.
And then you still got to pay other guys. Like I know Royce O'Neal, they were trying to get back. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him. But, that's obviously something we'll talk about once the offseason kicks in, because obviously there's no games, so we'll obviously have free reign to talk
Yes.
whatever we want. But any final thoughts on the Suns or Mike Budenholzer or anything like that?
Yeah, I'll say something really quick.
Go for it.
I feel like the Suns are in a huge rush, and I don't know why.
You need to.
They're in a big rush.
You have to with Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah, but you can't do that. Like if you want to win, like if you genuinely want to compete and win,
Yeah.
you can't rush like that.
That's the problem.
Fire after one season.
That's the problem with superstars.
takes time.
You
Yeah.
can't be throwing stars together and just hoping for the best. That's just not how it works.
Yeah. That makes me question the motivation.
Thing, yeah, also like another thing with Vogel, if they felt like he lost the locker room after that series, and even just in general, why are you going to bring him back if your stars are going to be visibly upset that he's back and the locker room is already lost, and then there's more dysfunction going into the second season, and you're kind of into a mess longer than you had to be
Right.
after just the 1 year.
Yeah. No, but I was gonna say that makes me question the motivation of the ownership, Like, do they want to win, or do they want to just contend just enough just to get some fans to come to the games?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think Matt Ishbia wants to win, but he doesn't want to do the dirty work. He wants to just take the easy way out, try and win now. He doesn't want any part of a rebuild. You know, he wasn't going to try and buy the Hornets because you know, they're in a shithole right now. They're trying to get themselves out of it. Right. And look, I think at the end of the day, the Suns are just doing what every other super team's trying to do and failing miserably at it. Yeah. So, you know, obviously we wish Frank Vogel the best. He'll definitely get some job elsewhere, whether it's a head coach or an assistant coach. And, you know, we wish all the luck in the world to Mike Budenholzer. He's going to need it. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with him because I think he can coach. Yeah. It's just, I just don't think it's the right fit for him. I think it's definitely a big vulnerable sign for Matt Ishbia, thinking the guy that beat you in the finals is going to get you to the finals.
Yeah. It's like kind of a reverse psychology type of thing.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
So, yeah, we shall see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let's get into the next story.
Let's do it.
All right, into our next story. It's another coaching hire. This is obviously a busy time of the year when, you know, teams pull the plug on guys or make them the fall guy. But this one was much needed. This is the Hornets, a team that's been struggling mightily on and off the court with their players for as long as at least like 6-7 years. It's been just kind of a mess. You know, they've had some good moments, but they've gotten blown out in the play-in tournament. So we saw Steve Clifford step down from his role. Obviously, that was announced before the season ended. And yeah, he deserves either a better opportunity or just to kind of relax and retire because he is getting up there in age. But I do like the way the Hornets are sort of moving, right? Obviously, Michael Jordan sold the team for a couple $2 billion. I don't remember the exact number. They bring in Nets assistant GM Jeff Peterson, which was, in my opinion, a great move because I wish we would have promoted him and got rid of Sean Marks. And obviously now he's brought over a few pieces from Brooklyn's front office, and they just hired former Celtics or current Celtics assistant coach Charles Lee to be their next head coach. And you know, he's been touted as one of the best assistant coaches in the NBA, up there with guys like Sam Cassell, David Adelman, and all those guys. So I asked you last time, right, about Vogel, so I'll go over to you, Antoine. Since this is more of a unique hire. We don't really see these very often, especially for a team that's trying to kind of fix their brand, fix their vision, their culture, to just everything about Charlotte. He's trying to completely change everything. What do you think of this hire for Charlotte?
I think they hit it right on the nail because you don't want Bud go. I'm not saying Bud's going to take that job either, but you don't want a veteran in there. I think for those young guys, you want someone that's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, he's not young.
No, an assistant coach to take the jump to a head coach with a team like that. I think it's a pretty good first step for him to take a team that's kind of been just bottom of the barrel for the last few seasons. I don't think they expect, of course, I think a lot of improvements from him, but I don't think they're expecting something drastic that's going to happen where they're going to be a 1 seed or a 2 seed. They have the players that are great. LaMelo is another injury prone, I guess, good problem they have. He's a really good player when he's on the court. You know, they have Brandon Miller, who was third for Rookie of the Year behind Chet and Wemby. Those are the 2 building blocks for the future. The rest of the team, I don't know. They got to fill out those holes, whatever they want to do. Miles Bridges is still there. He's putting up points, but
he's a free agent, I think, at the end of the season, so he can go.
Yeah, he can go, but there's that whole thing with him. So I know they interviewed JJ Redick. Don't know why he didn't get that job. I guess because maybe they wanted to stay away from, I guess, the media type of route with a guy like that.
I think you'd probably want someone with experience because JJ Redick, outside of coaching his son's team, that's about all he has. Charles Lee was an assistant at Bucknell for 4 years, then went to Atlanta for 4 years. Then he was in Milwaukee. He did win a ring with Milwaukee in 2021. Okay. So another guy from that Bud system at least.
Okay.
We'll see if that's any good. You know, we're about to find that out.
Yeah.
And then obviously now I'm being in Boston only for 1 season. So you know, mostly the good teams will get their assistant coaches, you know, plucked from them. So I'm not really surprised. So what do you think, Gio?
Well, I mean, talking about JJ Redick, I think he's a stand-up guy. I think I wanted them to hire JJ Redick just to see how he would do.
Yeah.
He's a stand-up guy, so I think he'd do a great job. But I don't know much about this guy, to be honest. What's his name again?
Charles Lee.
Charles. Yeah,
Lee.
I don't know much about him. I
Yeah.
just know that he was the assistant to the Celtics.
Right.
And they played pretty well this season. That's all I know.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess it's a good hire.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something that, his name was always prevalent among head coaching jobs this season, especially for the vacancies.
Okay.
I don't think the Nets interviewed him. I don't think the Celtics would ever give a coach permission to, even though we let Ime Udoka walk to them.
Right.
But I think this is a good opportunity for him. And I feel like those situations are really good opportunities for someone trying to prove themselves. And especially with a new GM coming in, you really wanted to get the first guy right. You want to get that first hire under your belt and make sure you did your due diligence properly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think it's a good fit, good hire?
I think so. I think obviously time will tell. He's never been an NBA head coach before. He's never been a head coach before. So we're getting into uncharted waters with Charles Lee. But I mean, you got to think this is his 12th year as an assistant coach, his 10th as an NBA assistant coach. So
He's qualified.
You got to at least give it a shot. You got to see what you're going to get from him. And I think the more glaring thing for me is they're a rebuilding team. Is he going to be the guy long term, or is he going to be the guy to get you to that situation and then you find someone that's going to take you over the edge? And I'll ask you that. Just early predictions for Charles Lee.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a type of situation where if he's there for 3-4 years, builds that team back up, and follows the Brad Stevens route, possibly into the front office, and you hire a new coach. But who's to say that the Hornets are not going to be like the Celtics of now, where Brad Stevens built that team up and then handed it off to Udoka and then to Mazzulla, and Stevens won to the front office and now built the team. I don't know if Lee would do that. We have no idea, of course.
I don't think it will happen.
Because
you got to think from the Celtics' perspective. Danny Ainge left. There was an opening.
Yeah.
With this, I mean, Jeff Peterson's young. He's going to be there for as long as he wants to be there. He'll be there. So
I think the Hornets have a high pick this year. I'm sure we'll see in the lottery tomorrow. They have pieces. It's just figuring out with them an identity, specifically with their star player LaMelo Ball always getting into some type of injury in the year and trying to come back, and it's not the same. We know how great he is and how fun he is to watch.
Yeah.
Now with Brandon Miller there as well, those two guys, they want to see together on the court and see how it works.
Yeah.
If you bring in a third guy in the draft, that's another high riser, or someone in free agency that they bring in, they have potential. I think they have a lot of young guys there too that are fairly good. I'm forgetting a couple players' names, but
they're really the important ones. There's really
those two are the top
contributing
ones.
pieces.
They moved off from Gordon Hayward, of course. That was another signing they had.
Yeah, he was also not really playing at his best ability.
Yeah.
So really, I think with a
it's
team
young
like
team.
with a team like that, you really just need to kind of hone in on your main two or three
Exactly.
guys.
Yeah.
And I credit the injuries from LaMelo to his shoes. Everyone I know with Melo Ball shoes have ankle injuries.
And Steph.
And Steph's.
Yeah, bro.
His shoes too?
Do you see the ankle braces Steph wears during games?
Yeah.
Those ankles are just crying, bro.
It's really unfortunate. So
Yeah.
Melo, please wear good shoes or fix the shoes that you have right now.
Interesting. Okay.
Or high tops at the very
Or
least.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I mean,
yeah, I think going back to Redick, I think he's probably the favorite now for the Lakers, but we'll see.
could that podcast have just been LeBron molding JJ Redick?
We might be onto something here.
Yeah, and who's to say that the guys at ESPN don't have say in what they want for the Lakers? Of course, I'm sure they'll give him a lot of positive credit to if he gets an interview for them to whoever's there.
Right.
Are you saying that
Interview
ESPN controls or has a say in what the league does?
No, I don't think
I'm
so.
saying that,
Is that what he said?
the guys there that work on the NBA side, they know JJ. They want JJ to get that job. Probably, I would think, because it's good for them. It's good for media. And it's, of course, going to make, I guess, Lakers talk more interesting for them.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know.
they do have a say.
It's tough
Media.
because, I mean, if you're JJ, it's really.
I don't think you want that job.
You definitely don't want a Lakers job, but like if you're JJ, you already have like you're one of the brilliant basketball minds on ESPN. There's very few of those.
Yeah.
And you obviously have your podcast with Tommy Alter. You have your podcast with LeBron. I think you're just chilling. Why add on that more I understand you want to coach, but like I just feel like for him, he's really in a good spot right now. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah, I mean, he very well could. I think he'll do a great job. But I think at the end of the day, ESPN definitely controls the narratives.
That's for sure.
That's definitely what they do. You know, the amount of discourse we've seen over the years with everything, and obviously everything Woj does by leaking stuff. Like the trade deadline's not as, bombshell anymore because we all kind of have a general indication of what's happening. But if JJ gets the Lakers job, it definitely will be interesting. He will not get any blame from any of the Stephen A. Smiths or the Kendrick Perkins. But I'm curious to see if he does get the job and things don't go well, will LeBron blame him? Or will that be kind of the final straw with Rob Pelinka? That's what I'm curious about. Okay. But that's even if LeBron comes back, which he might, but we still don't know.
Yeah.
I think if JJ joins the Lakers as the coach, there's no risk for him there.
No, not at all.
No risk.
No.
At all. So I
Not
think
one bit.
why not? If he doesn't do a good job, no risk. You know what I'm saying? Like the blame is not going to be on him. And if he does a good job, all the credit at least half the credit is going to go to him,
Right.
So I think it might be a good idea for him to do that.
Right. I think it'll be more of a better fit if it's after the LeBron era.
Yeah.
Because I think right now the Lakers need an experienced head coach, and they just need a lot more help. They just need a lot of help, period.
Right.
They're just not good enough.
Yeah, they don't need a friend. JJ's like a friend if he joins the Lakers.
Yeah.
It's almost like
LeBron.
conflict of interest.
LeBron's older than JJ. Like, you might as well have LeBron coach at that point.
LeBron is a player coach?
Yeah.
That would be cool since Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should see that.
Exactly.
I think we should see that.
He basically already is.
But
Yeah.
I want to see it officially.
He's the coach, the GM, and the owner.
Yeah.
So
The GM.
I mean, that
the
could
coach.
be at least. I would like to see that happen, just so he doesn't blame anyone.
Yeah.
Let LeBron take some accountability because we just don't see that anymore. Or let me rephrase that. Let's see him take accountability when they lose.
Yeah.
Because he clearly takes accountability when they win.
Yeah. That's true.
So,
Yeah.
but any final words on Charlotte, on JJ Redick, on anything coaching related? Obviously,
We'll see what happens.
yeah.
If I don't know. I think the only job is that Lakers one that's open because both of those we only have Phoenix and Charlotte, and that was it, right?
Yeah, I mean we'll keep
now.
we'll keep an eye on the rest of the playoff teams. Obviously, I know Boston and Cleveland are really the two main jobs that you could see coaching vacancies. They're the only two I think that are left, and maybe we'll see if Detroit pulls the plug on Monty Williams only after 1 year.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't think
So
we should.
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, but yeah, let's get into the playoff games.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Let's talk Cavs versus Celtics. Series is 2 games in, tied 1-1. And I just want to get you guys' thoughts on the series, and I want to start it off with a question. And I'm going to ask you, Tyler, do you think that we are overestimating the Celtics, or are we overrating the Celtics, or are we underestimating the Cavs? What do you think?
It's tough. I don't want to say both, but I feel like it is both. Because on one end, the Celtics have been so dominant, but at the same time, the East has been bad. You know, I'm going to say we're underrating the Cavs.
Okay.
It would be a little interesting
I like that take.
Because the East is so trash that if the East was competent, the Celtics would not be this good.
Right.
They'd probably still be the 1 seed, but maybe with like 50-something wins rather than 64. I think all of us just wrote off Cleveland as soon as we saw them advance. We all thought Orlando was the better matchup. Turns out we were wrong. I just didn't, Boston in game 2s this year have just not been good. So, the Cavs took advantage, and I think you're finally starting to see them play their best basketball, play their competent basketball. They still have their moments when they're not, but I think just, at the end of the day, the Celtics are kind of beating themselves, which essentially could tie into us overrating Boston.
Okay.
It's really tough to kind of.
Why do you say the Celtics are beating themselves?
Well, I mean, you see Jason Tatum being passive. You see them, going for these like long bomb threes when they can just easily drive on a mismatch. They keep going. Jaylen Brown still can't dribble the ball, and he's making $300 million. And Joe Mazzulla has done an adequate job, but obviously not at the standard that Ime Udoka had these guys playing at. Were just levels above. on the disciplinary end of it, right? Like this team was disciplined, and for some reason they just don't have it anymore. And I guess that's also kind of just a shame on the players too, because you should remember what that's like. And being the best team in the East practically for the past couple of years and only being to one finals is not good. So Boston definitely, they got comfortable, they got complacent, and essentially, Cleveland took advantage. You just got to give credit to JB Bickerstaff and his guys. As poor as Bickerstaff has been, especially this postseason so far, this was the most alert the Cavs have looked, the most stern, dominant, outside of maybe the first 2 games against Orlando. But
they're locked in.
They're locked in, and how long can they sustain that? I don't know. Obviously, the injury to Kristaps has been hurting them a little bit, but at the end of the day, Cleveland doesn't have Jared Allen either.
Exactly.
So I do think it's more of us underestimating the Cavs because we gave them no shot, but the Celtics are not helping their own case at all either. So, but I'll lean more on the side of underestimating Cleveland because they deserve their props.
I like it. Anthony, what do you think about that question?
I think it's the same thing. I think going into it, like Tyler said, we wrote off Cleveland right away. But we forget that they have guys that, compete. We'll get into Mitchell and Mobley later on. But it seems like that, they're not, falling into the same, I guess, trap as everybody else is. Oh, they're going to write them off in 4 or 5 games. They're like, no, we're here to play. And game 2, they showed up. They blew out pretty good against after that first game. So, yeah, I think, we forget that, they have a good core of guys that, are young. Garland is there, even though he hasn't been doing the best. But they paid him as well. They're big guys. Without Jared Allen as well, I would love to see with Jared Allen if they would have been up 2-0.
He's at shoot-around today.
We'll see.
He could play tonight. Let me actually double-check to see if he is playing because that could be a big swing in this series, especially.
I'm thinking that Jared Allen's return is going to hurt the Cavs more than it's going to help them.
Oh, okay.
But that's just a prediction.
Even though he was the only one up until Game 5 that was playing good in the Magic series.
But same thing with Gobert. Gobert sat out. They won those 2 games, or they won that one game.
Yeah, but he played well in that first game, though.
It blew them out without Gobert.
Right, but that could be a testament to the Nuggets just not being locked in.
That's true.
So let me just double check. Let me just go to Underdog's Twitter because they know all of this. Jalen Williams actually just got hurt. J-Dub.
What do you do? Is it bad? Is it
ankle?
Serious?
He probably just rolled it.
Sprain.
Yeah, Daniel Gafford had gone to the locker room, but he's back in the game. Yeah. So we're recording this at the time of the Thunder Mavs game 3. Yeah, game 3. But we'll talk about that series in a little bit, anyways. It might be good. So far, no news on Jared Allen as I see. So I guess he's more of a game time decision. I mean, he's questionable, so I don't know
who
if
plays
he's
tonight.
going to play. The Celtics
They
and
play
Cavs,
tonight.
yeah,
Okay.
in game 2.
Yeah.
So that'll be something we essentially see.
Yes.
But
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I actually have an interesting take on this series, really quick, before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
I think so we know that Tatum is not having the best playoffs, and neither is Garland. Both sides, right? So I think whoever finds their rhythm first, that team is going to have the edge going forward. And then we're going to find out tonight because one of those guys is going to ball out, one of them. But we got to figure out who's going to ball out, and whoever does, that team is going to have the advantage in the series. But
Derek White played really bad in game 2. If that was just a fluke, then Tatum doesn't need to pop off. That's kind of been the general theme with Boston, is that Tatum will shoot like 3 of like 14, but they'll still win by 26 points.
Because of Derek.
Exactly.
And the rest of the guys, yeah.
Typically, the timing with Boston is quite strange because like Tatum will drop 50 when they absolutely need him to.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously when they don't need him to is when he has stinkers. But Tatum's got to be better.
He needs to be better, and it has to start tonight, though.
Yeah, he was forced into MVP talks earlier in this season, but he's certainly not playing like one. Mm-hmm. So
I like how you say forced.
Exactly.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Exactly. Because I don't think he had a good season, but like there was no way in hell he was going to be in at least a finalist, let alone win the damn thing.
It's just because he's the best player on the number 1 team, so they just threw him in there. They had to.
Right.
Fair. But yeah.
So I do want to transition into more player-centric question because, obviously we just talked about Jason Tatum. I want to kind of flip it over to the Cavs side with Evan Mobley specifically. Obviously, we can throw Donovan Mitchell into it too, but kind of just focusing on those two. I'll ask you, Antoine, what has Evan Mobley proved? I don't want to say proved, but is he starting to prove all the doubters wrong? And just what are you just a general thought on how you think he's been playing up until this point?
Without Allen, I definitely see him playing a lot better and utilizing him more. Mm-hmm. I feel like with Allen on the floor, it's kind of difficult. I feel like Mobley's a power forward, but he's essentially a center. Yeah. Shouldn't be playing the 4. That's what he was at USC, and they're gonna have a tough decision whether or not to keep one or the other. I think Mobley, because 1, he's your high draft pick, and 2, a lot younger.
And cheaper.
Yeah, of course. So I think Mobley is definitely taking a few steps in this series, the first 2 games compared to the first series. I love watching him play. He's a great player. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of USC basketball, but just watching highlights there, he was great. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick previously when he was going into his draft year, but obviously he fell a little bit. Was he 4th? I think he was 4th
third.
overall.
I think he was 3rd.
Oh, he was 3rd. Yes, he was 3rd. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for him, I think he shines more when he's by himself as the 5, rather than as the 4.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's a big body. He can definitely just go to the line, bring it down in the post, pick and roll with Mitchell, and just play his game. And I know he rebounds the ball really good and really well. Excuse me. But Allen as well has been playing good. So it's kind of a tough decision for, I guess, them if they want to keep. If Allen comes back playing both and see what happens, but then if one stinks, which is Mobley or Allen, then what are you going to do? You're going to just rule Allen out the rest of the series. If you're not going to chance it, you assigned him to your contract extension previously before the season began. Of course, you want him to play. He adds more, I
mean, they signed him when they traded for him. He signed the extension after the season.
Yeah.
So it's definitely... he's going to play, obviously, if they come back. They need him. But
of course.
It's almost kind of like what OKC did with Chet at the beginning of the season. They played him at the 4. Didn't work. Yep. Mm-hmm. But they also didn't have an all-star center, so they were able to put him at the 5.
Right.
Jared Allen is a lot better than whatever big body options the Thunder had outside of Chet.
Yeah.
So... I think that definitely ties in. I'm going to ask you, the superstar duel, as you will, between Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, what's that been like, and what's your general evaluation on both of those players?
Basically, Donovan Mitchell doesn't have any choice but to be a superstar in the series. If he's not a superstar, Cavs don't win. So Tatum has the luxury of not being a superstar in the series, even though he's a superstar, but he has the luxury of having all those other guys.
Yeah,
that he doesn't need to play to that level that Donovan Mitchell's playing at, and he can still win.
Right.
So the demand for Mitchell is higher for him to play well. So that's why I think that's why we're seeing Mitchell play well, like better in the series. But yeah, I also wanted to say about Mobley though that I think his production is higher because Jared Allen's out. So I feel like Jared Allen suppressed Mobley's play style a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think when Jared Allen comes back into the lineup, we're going to see a decline in Mobley's game. What do you think? Do you think
I would hope not.
I agree.
Or do you think Mobley's going to keep his role because they're doing well now with Mobley as more of that main big now? And do you think Jared Allen will take a back seat? Or
unless he's so hobbled that he can't, because I know he has a rib injury and he was in excruciating pain lifting his arm. So obviously I know it's gotten better, but I don't know if it's to the point where he maybe gets limited minutes. But it's tough because when Jared Allen was playing well, the rest of the Cavs weren't.
Right.
So him not playing essentially unlocked the offense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was just a machine when he was healthy.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to tell. It's a weird series again. The Celtics just got to make things so hard because they're not disciplined.
Yeah.
Essentially. So it just confuses our brains a lot more. And I think tonight we'll see.
We will see because Mobley's been playing great without Allen, so I'm very curious now for Game 3 tonight to see if Mobley takes a back seat because Allen's back.
That's
or
if he plays.
If he plays.
Oh, okay.
Because he's still
he
questionable.
plays.
There's been no
Right.
word on his status for tonight. And remember, the game's back in Cleveland now.
Yeah, they're back home.
Sleep in your own bed, eat your own food, whatever.
Get
See family. Yeah, you're comfortable. So, and we'll see what the Celtics do essentially as far as adjustments go. Because I mean, that was embarrassing.
Yeah,
quite frankly,
horrible.
Yeah,
the defense horrible.
Yeah, I don't know why they always lay off after a game 1 win, and then he just goes back to 1-1, back home to away for Game 3. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just the Celtics for you, essentially.
Yeah, it's crazy too because you expect a team with Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, the amount of defenders, athletes that they have, you expect them to be good on defense, right?
Yeah,
but they were not at all. It was
they were
horrendous.
far from it, actually.
And that's why I think it's coaching. I think it's Joe Mazzulla. Because you have the guys. You have the guys. All you have to do is put them in the right situations on defense. Remind them throughout the flow of the game that they have to get over screens. That they can't sag off. They have to get back on defense in transition. You have to remind these are the things that the coach has to do throughout the game.
Right.
Yeah, they're professionals, but they're players on the court. You still have to remind these guys, even though they're pros.
You need to have them play for you.
Yes.
Go to war for you.
Yes, and that's not what I'm seeing.
And it doesn't matter. I understand the path in the East is dumb easy, but at the same time, you can't just not, one bad game and you're fucked,
Yeah.
So you need that urgency. You need that desperation.
Yes.
And we're just not seeing that.
That's what they're missing.
From the Celtics. And that's just been a pattern. Even in the finals when they had Ime Udoka, they were undisciplined in the finals. I thought they were the better team. They were the more talented team.
Yeah.
But the Warriors had experience. They had discipline. They knew what it took to win.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, Steph Curry took over, and that was that. And we're kind of getting the same thing now. You take the first game, and then Donovan Mitchell just explodes, and you do nothing to punch back. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't think they're all missing Porzingis, but I don't think Porzingis. Of course it matters to them. It's a big guy that rebounds, shoots. Does a lot of things right, but he's the third option on that. Well, if you're including White as the third option, maybe the fourth. But yeah, I think Cleveland's missing Allen more than Porzingis.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay.
Boston needs Porzingis if they want to win the title.
Okay.
You can tell just Al Horford is already he's already been banged up this series alone. You just need Porzingis for multiple reasons, as far as being a stretch 5 to begin with.
Yeah.
The fact that he's 7'3" and can shoot. He's not going to be able to bang in the post with a guy like Jokic, for example. But for the Eastern Conference, he's very serviceable. And I think right now you're seeing the Celtics kind of struggle without him because they're just not used to it because they've played the whole season with him, and this is really the first major injury he's had this year. And obviously, you got to be precautious about it. And obviously, if they get to the next round, which they should, then obviously he could potentially come back at some point. But I think past this round is probably the last you can get away with no Porzingis.
Yeah.
Because once you get to the conference finals, that's when you really need to lock in.
Yeah.
You really got to know your sets. That's where Tatum really needs to step up, regardless of whether Porzingis is playing or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, in all essence, the Celtics' title hopes rely on a guy named Tingus Pingus. I never thought that'd ever be the case, but it is. He he may not have the most upfront role, but he's very important.
Yeah, I think when he's on the floor, they are a super team. I think.
Yeah, I would say
case.
so. Yeah, he's the big body that's gonna go to war with their big body, whoever Cleveland, Mobley, them, and he shoots like Tyler said at 7'3". I don't think.
And he's the anchor on defense as well.
Yeah.
So
he's not a DPOY guy.
No.
He's definitely a serviceable rim protector, and
he's the guy that sees everything. So he's making the calls because that's what the center does.
Right.
He's making the calls like you be here, you be here. He's communicating. That's the guy.
Yeah.
That's his role on defense, whether he's a defender or not. That's his role. So, and if he's not out there, who's really taking that responsibility?
Al Horford has been there a long
He's a veteran, but
you
need another guy.
You need someone that actually can have the legs to get through the entire series. Al Horford will do what he can.
Yeah.
You can't really ask too much of him.
Yeah.
So, So I think the last thing before we move on to the next series, obviously last week we uploaded in our 4th episode, our X factors for all 8 remaining playoff teams. And we'll just very quickly, very briefly, we're not going to go into a deep dive into these guys. We'll just do a quick little check-in on our X factors to see how they're doing. So I will start off with you. We'll just kind of keep the same order. And
I don't think we've seen anything from Sam Hauser this series. I'm just going to keep it at that.
Yeah, no, he's been, no.
Yeah, no. We'll move forward.
Well, you have your Cleveland one.
Oh, yes. I thought we were so Cleveland. Was it Strus?
I think it was.
Yeah. I don't know. We haven't seen much from him either, like from the ending of the first series. I think hopefully he brings it on towards the end of the series if it goes long distance, but I think the first 2 games have been pretty average from him. I don't think anything major stood out so far. I hope he turns it on, but, that's all I have for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very happy personally with my X Factor.
Yeah,
Karis LeVert. He decided he wanted to wake up and be Michael Jordan this series. That's what he decided. But it really depends. Like, it's day to day with him, though. Like, some games he'll go off. Some games he'll just be super horrible from the field.
That's the Karis LeVert
yeah,
experience. I can
Karis.
tell you from experience.
Yeah.
It's either him dropping 40 without breaking a sweat, or he's airballing 3 threes in a row, and you want to just punch your TV.
Yeah.
So
he's like that classic microwave guy. Like, when he's hot, he's hot.
Absolutely.
So, and he's hot.
Yeah.
Let's continue that.
Who's your Celtics guy?
Peyton Pritchard.
He's been okay.
He's been all right.
He's been okay. He's the main bench guy.
I'm pretty sure he's gotten more minutes this series, right?
Yeah, he played 20 minutes yesterday at 13 points.
Okay, so he's doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's just not going to be a takeover kind of guy.
No.
The Celtics have too much firepower for that. They don't need him to.
But 13 off the bench is very solid.
Yeah, especially we've seen a lot of teams score less than like 10 bench points.
Right.
So any sort of bench help is important right now in this postseason, especially with the injuries. Because obviously my guy Al Horford, it's not. There's not much you could really ask of him. He's doing a lot, doing all he can. He only went back to the locker room, I think, in game 2. But I think he's been all right. Nothing too crazy. And then I chose Georges Niang for the Cavs, and on the negative end, he's just not with it. He really needs to be shooting a lot more threes and making them. And at the end of the day, he's very passive. He's very inefficient, and defensively, you're just not getting shit.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, our X factors are, I guess, kind of contributing, whether it's in a positive or a negative way.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens afterwards, I guess. But from this point on, at least at the time of recording, has your predictions for the series changed? Because I know we all said Celtics in 5, or you might have said Celtics in 6. I don't even remember. But
no, I think I'm going to stay.
You're staying with 5?
Yeah, I'll stay with 5.
I'm going to stick with it until it's mathematically impossible. Mm-hmm. So if Cleveland wins tonight, then I'll say Celtics in 6. Yeah. But I still think it'll be Celtics in 5.
Okay.
I'm switching mine.
Ooh.
To what?
Cavs in 6.
Oh, my God.
Okay, he wants to go bold. Let him go bold.
Yeah, let him go bold.
Cavs
you either could look
6.
like the biggest genius or the biggest idiot.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of a Celtics hater. So
okay.
Fair.
That just kind of like biased.
What made you a Celtics hater, though? I'm a little confused because I don't think Russell Westbrook has had any.
Not a hater, but just more of like a non-believer. I
Okay.
just don't believe in the Celtics. I don't hate them.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just like kind of like.
Because they did nothing to Russ.
Yeah, nah. Russ actually went off against them multiple times, 40-point game, 50-point games, but we're not going to talk about that now. Yeah, so I'm just a non-believer. Cavs in 6.
All right.
That's fair.
We'll see.
Any final words?
No.
All right, let's move on.
Let's do it.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the second series in the East right now. My New York Knicks against the Indiana Pacers. It is currently, right now, a 2-1 series. Game 3 was last night back in Indianapolis, where Knicks fell on a game-winning 3 from Andrew Nembhard.
So sad.
Very sad.
Very
it's
happy.
Okay.
Such a lucky shot.
Bro, he did nothing the entire game.
Yeah.
He literally was fumbling the ball as he shot it. But.
Someone posted on Twitter of just Andrew Nembhard, and it was that video. It was that clip of Dude Perfect basketball stereotypes. The one guy who bricks all game but makes that for the win.
Yes. I love that.
His 5 points were all in like the final 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah. But anyway, it's in the past. We're gonna move forward now. Game 4 will be sometime in between when we're recording now to Wednesday. It'll probably be over by then. But there's been a major storyline in this series that does not include any players or coaches. It includes the guys in the black and white shirts that are striped.
Knicks uniforms.
that are striped with black pants. You may know them as the officials. Tyler has a lot to say on the officials.
Yes.
I
So
heard
far.
the officials bought Brunson jerseys after the game.
Oh, that's
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's really fun.
I mean, he said black and white. Why were they wearing blue and orange?
Yeah.
I'm dead. Get into
But
it.
let's get into the guys that are in the black and white uniforms.
It's technically gray and black, but we'll let it slide.
Gray?
Yeah, they wear gray. The NFL and NHL refs wear black and
right.
white.
Gray.
That's true.
So or Foot Locker
Okay.
or Foot Locker employees.
Yeah,
you know?
Foot Locker employees.
Yeah, you can count Newcastle in that as well.
Yes, you can.
So
Of course.
look, I've gotten a lot of flack on Twitter for saying that the Pacers have been the better team. I also got a lot of flack saying the Sixers have been a better team. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I think the Knicks have been very fortunate with this whistle throughout their played 9 playoff games so far.
Correct.
And I'll just say this, y'all are very lucky you're up 2-1. Because I personally thought in the first round they should have been going back to game 7 in the Garden. They should be 2-1 down going into game 4 trying to even up this series. I'm usually not the kind of person to really bring up the refs in many situations. Typically, if there's like one stupid call, I'll complain about it. But I'm never really the it's rigged guy. But games like game 1 are where I question myself and my beliefs. Because my God, the Pacers got absolutely robbed. Like they were completely shafted in those final 3 minutes of the game. The fact that they got a legal steal. I'll talk
Oh,
more
you're talking about the kick?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about that play in a second. But the fact that it was a legal steal, it was going to be a 4-on-1, and they called it off, and the Knicks got a 3, completely gave them the game. And to make matters worse, not only do you call that screen on Miles Turner, we can make the determination on whether it's illegal or not. I think it's probably a questionable call, but you don't call it in that moment, especially before the kickball happened. Dante DiVincenzo set the most illegal screen I've ever seen in my life on Aaron Nesmith. Yes.
Missed it.
Yeah.
It was when, right before he batted the ball, he like raised his arms up because he literally got he put his full like cross check into him.
For real? He like raised
Yeah,
his elbow and everything?
they didn't call it.
They didn't call
Really?
it at all.
Yeah.
There was a play like early in the 4th when Tyrese Halliburton made a layup with like 0.1 on the clock. They called it a shot clock violation. Obviously, clearly wasn't a shot clock violation. There was a call, I think, I don't remember if it was game 1 or game 2. Brunson literally put his entire body weight into Miles Turner and they overturned
Oh,
it.
yeah, I saw that.
Like, what's going on? Like,
I feel like that was marginal, though. Because he
no-
hit the ball before the body.
he didn't even hit the ball. No, that was the other play when he completely crashed into Miles Turner.
Oh,
It completely
okay.
changed his body trajectory. That was not marginal
You're not talking
contact.
about the one where he blocked Turner?
The one where he blocked Turner.
He went up and blocked Turner.
That one is debatable.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's tough, and even just going back to it could be a one-time thing, but just look what happened in the Philly series, man. Like what are we doing? Like Tyrese Maxey got assaulted, and it wound up being a 3-point swing again for the Knicks, and that's just not fair at the end of the day. Because look, have the Pacers played great? No. But at the same time, based on the circumstances, they did everything they needed to win game 1. Everything. And they got that taken away from them. You know, let the Pacers do it to themselves. Don't let the refs do it. I understand you want a Knicks Celtics finals because those are the 2 teams that have overpriced tickets. But at the same time, it's just not. What's the point of the Indiana Pacers existing if no one wants them in the conference finals? If they clearly deserve to be there, and that's why I've been so critical of the Knicks. And it's not because I'm a Nets fan. I'm trying on this show. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. My voice cracked, but I'm trying to be as impartial. I'm trying to give the Knicks credit. I just can't because I don't like what I'm seeing on the floor. Outside of Jalen Brunson these past 5 games, you know, and obviously just the effort Josh Hart's been giving, and obviously the way DiVincenzo's playing, but as a team, they just have not been great. And I just haven't been seeing the dominance that I thought they would. And this underdog...
You think they would have a dominance on the court?
Well, if you're the 2 seed, and the way Jalen Brunson's been playing as a top 5-6 player in the league this season, I expect more from the Knicks. They shouldn't be in these dog
This is how they've
fights.
played all season.
I understand
They've
that.
thrived in these situations. This
Right.
is why they're here.
Right, but you're not playing against like these top tier playoff. You're playing against like these you're playing against a weak East. If we're being honest, all these teams would arguably miss the play-in in the West. Right, the Knicks themselves would be the 7th seed in the West, anyways. So it's weird because you're seeing this underdog mentality, stealing a game when you're the 2 seed at home. It's just cringe, and it just doesn't make sense. So I think last night you finally saw the officiating kind of get a little bit more fair.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I mean, even game 2, the whistle was terrible, but the Pacers just didn't have it. No, like I said, let me land.
Okay.
The whistle was egregious in game 2, but the Pacers just weren't playing anywhere close to the level.
So they would have lost either way.
They would have lost either way. But game 1, the Pacers
that was
absolute. Bro, even Brian Windhorst said that it was a robbery. And you know Brian Windhorst. He always will. He's always as neutral and it's never the it's rigged guy. Never. So, and I think, look, could the Knicks win the series? Absolutely. I mean, with this generational whistle, it genuinely could. They could easily win the title with this whistle. But I think, look, like I said, I've tried to be as PC, as neutral, as unbiased as possible throughout this. And I wanted the Knicks to beat the Sixers because I just don't like Joel Embiid and the Sixers. But after watching that series, the Sixers were shafted, essentially. Now, they obviously
make the argument.
Yeah, go for it.
For the Knicks.
Go for it.
All right, so here's my thing. I think the Knicks are being rewarded for their play style and their effort and their hustle. And I think they're being rewarded with the whistle because this is how they've played. This is their identity. This is how they play. They play rough. And I feel like they're the tougher team. And so if the referees are calling a tough game, you know what I'm saying? Like a tough game,
right,
they're going to win those games because they're the tougher team.
Well, let me ask you this.
They're the more grittier team. So they're going to end up getting more of the calls because that's just how the refs are calling. I don't necessarily think the refs are wearing Knicks jerseys. I think it's just the way they're calling.
They're wearing Knicks jerseys underneath.
Underneath.
Yes.
Okay.
Because let me ask you this. If they're going to call a rough game, they're going to call a rough game. If they're going to be physical, why can't the Pacers be physical? Why are they getting penalized for their physicality? It just doesn't make sense to me. That's
a good question.
Why is Tyrese Halliburton getting shoved in the back by Josh Hart and it's not getting called? And he was forced to take a 3 that he missed.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just...
He was open, though.
He was open, but...
Josh Hart pushed him into open space, but it's still absolutely a foul.
Exactly, yeah. There's been a very lack of consistency. And typically when it comes to officiating and stuff like this, it's always the free throw disparity. But for this series, it's quality over quantity. The calls the Knicks have been getting, because I think in terms of free throws, it's been quite even, although I think last game the Knicks had more. It's just the times when the calls went the Knicks' way always seem to be when the game is in the balance.
Okay.
And when the game's in the balance, the refs need to step aside. And that's what you saw in last year in the Western Conference Finals with the Nuggets and Lakers. The refs didn't call like anything in those last 3 minutes of the game. So I think at the end of the day, the NBA outside of this series has a humongous officiating problem. And you're seeing it right here. Obviously, it's tough because the big, small market, right? So I don't know. It's tough. That's all I'll say for now. Obviously, we'll see what happens in Game 4. Just know that this probably won't be the last time you'll see this. I'm not saying it'll happen to the Knicks, but it's just something we'll see. But I've talked for way too long about that. I'm very sorry, but
I think it's strategic by the NBA.
I've just been waiting to get that off my chest because it's just not fair at the end of the day where why is the Knicks' physicality getting rewarded, but the Pacers aren't?
I mean,
and I think
they're both physical. No,
it's tough.
It's just they're both getting rewarded for their physicality. It's just that, like you said, it's just the time when the calls are being called.
Yeah, and I think
that's the crucial part.
With Indiana, it's just the way the specific calls have just been like blown like so badly. Like, how do you miss a kickball from there? The ref on the other end saw it hit his hand, and that was the other thing I forgot.
The kickball.
So how come you don't overturn the kickball?
But you can't review a kickball.
But you can't review a kickball. You can't review a double dribble. You can't change it. They changed it. Isaiah Hartenstein they called a double dribble. Right. Obviously he didn't, but they changed it. You can't do that. Like, you have 3 refs on the floor. Not one of them saw it hit his hand. They had to have. And the fact of the matter is,
Well, the closest ref, he was at a horrible angle.
no, he was at a great angle. He was at a great angle, G. I'm telling you.
Sure?
Because
when I was watching live, he was blocked by the Pacers defender. The Pacers player, and then the ball was on the opposite side. So I feel like it was body blocking the ball.
If Brunson and Neesmith were like here, I know it's really hard to tell in video. If they were here, the ref was like here. He clearly saw in between both of them.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, it's not a kickball. They refuse to change it. They call it double dribble on Isaiah Hartenstein, and they just change it. Like, you can't do that. Once the call's made, the call's made.
No, they can confer together and see. Like, if you had a better angle, they'll defer to them. That's just how they're.
That only happens with out of bounds.
Are you sure?
Only happens with out of bounds.
So they can't confer.
Once in my many years of watching the NBA, I know I'm young, but in most of my lifetime of watching the NBA, I've never seen anything like that happen before.
Okay.
So
you might be right.
Yeah. And it's just the calls the Knicks have been getting have been very strange.
Yeah.
Been absolutely strange. So that's all I'll say. Like I said, I want to see the Knicks win a game with themselves. Because they've been good. Brunson's been dominant, but outside of Brunson, they really haven't been a force.
Come on now, the Nova guys. Let's talk about it. Anthony, talk about the Nova guys for us, please.
I did talk at all. I let you guys battle it out in that segment because I introduced. But now I'll get in. Yeah, I think a lot of credit to all three of those guys. Obviously, Brunson is the main. Dante came in the season and just kind of fit in perfectly with all of them. I don't know if that's connection with them or just his play style and how he is and how he was not utilized well on his other teams, Milwaukee, Golden State. Now he's found a home here and is getting utilized correctly and is playing with his teammates. And it seems like he's having a lot more fun than he was when he first got drafted, which, adds a lot to it. Hart, it's a different type of basketball player, guy that's playing every minute. I think he sat for 5 minutes yesterday in intervals. But a guy that's just all over the court, rebounds, passes, steals, blocks. He does it all. There's some times where he can get a little inconsistent, but I think so far he's been nowhere near that. Brunson has had his moments. Dante, he's had his clutch shots. I think they've all done their part so far in this series and the series before. And, it's our big three. Whether it's a big three to other people or not, but it's our big three. That's what we say. It's our big three. And when's the last time an Italian has been this good at basketball that's not in New York or regardless? So I'm all for it. And, I've always been a guy that loved Josh Hart when he was brought over, got rid of a Cam Reddish that wasn't producing for us at all. Of course, Brunson coming in, I was a big advocate for that. It was
Yeah, because that was kind of unpopular when they went,
I was a
when
big
they got Brunson instead of getting KD.
Bro, the Mavs were so stupid for that. Man. You saw the way he was playing in the playoffs that year. You just knew he was going to take kind of like Larry Markkinen in Utah.
Yeah, I don't think everyone in media were saying I don't know about this. Is not going to end up well for the Knicks. They should have went out and got KD. They should have went out and got this guy, but instead they give all this money to a player that hasn't really proven himself yet.
Right,
but that paid off.
No, I agree with you.
So you were high on Brunson.
No, the one thing that the Knicks needed since I don't want to even include Jeremy Lin in this, but they needed quality point guard play. They had no point guard that was a floor general or just any type of a Kyrie Irving. Anyone like that. And they had Carmelo, yes, but that wasn't a point guard. They needed someone that could do it all. And Brunson, the playoffs before, of course, in Dallas, he had those games where he went off and was doing fantastic for them. And they let him walk because, of course, you have Luka. What are you going to do with those two? So he comes over. His dad's already an assistant coach for the Knicks.
That was some elite tampering, I would say.
They got fined for that. And he comes over, and he wanted to be the star of his own team, and he got exactly that. In a team that's in the mecca of all basketball. He's in the spotlight. The biggest spotlight probably in all of basketball besides the Lakers.
Yeah, no, I think the Lakers probably have the edge.
It's his team. obviously they of course have all the trust in him. They believe in him, and he brought over his guys with them. I'm sure he had input in that Josh Hart trade.
He did not.
Oh,
Remember,
yeah.
remember,
his
Oh no,
reaction?
yes,
Yeah.
because his reaction. Yes, correct. I've totally forgot
he
about
was-
the reaction.
He probably had input with
Yeah. A
little bit.
DiVincenzo,
Yeah.
but
I think DiVincenzo. Yeah, the
real-
Hart. I forgot the reaction when he was at the Nova
Yeah.
graduation.
But-
The Nova retiring his jersey.
Yeah, but real
and he
quick,
had no idea.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about yesterday with players just elevating as soon as they leave Dallas.
Get into it.
Yeah.
What were they saying?
If we're including Brunson, and who else are we including in this?
We're including Brunson. We're including. My mind blanked.
Who
out
else has left
completely.
Dallas that has completely?
I know there was a list I saw on Twitter.
Was there?
Like when your brain just completely
Yeah.
takes a vacation.
I'm trying to think of players that have left Dallas.
While I look for that, I actually have a question for you regarding Jalen Brunson. Do you think the foul baiting's a problem, especially last night, the way Game 3 ended? Because he took that shot with the shot clock off, at 16 seconds left, down 3. And it's something that he's been doing all season. He was second in the league in fouls drawn.
Yeah.
You see him do that SGA, like that head bob, or
He
those,
always-
like,
Or just
theatrics.
the
Yeah.
Yeah,
pump fake and then jump
Yeah,
into
does.
it.
do you
The-
like it, or is it a problem for you? While I look for that.
the thing. I love the physicality that he brings with drawing fouls.
Yes.
I think that's part of his game. The times the head bobbing, I know is his signature thing he does is when he drives and somebody bumps him, he immediately cocks his head back.
Yeah.
And
That's a plus. If you have
you know,
braids, if you have long hair,
yeah,
referees are going to see that hair
Oh, of
flop
course.
around and whistles blowing.
the thing is that like I don't want him to try to draw a foul when he has an open lane for a shot or whether it's a 3 or an open drive for a layup. Just get the bucket, forget the free throw. Because, you can't rely, as much as the whistle has gone in their favor, and for him especially, I don't think he needs to rely on calls to change a play of his that is going his way. It annoys me, but of course I'm all for him being physical and, drawing a foul if it's there for him, and it's clearly they're double teaming him on times as well. So it's there for him to take, of course. But yeah, I don't think he needs to rely on getting a call
Right.
for him.
He's
I
talented
think he
enough.
needs to just play his game, be the physical player you are. If you get the call, get the call. Great.
Right.
Go to the free throw line, take your shot, take your 2, take your 3, whatever. If you get fouled on a 3, and just let's go. But if it's causing something that's negative, impacting, which is a call that he's looking for that does not get called, Indiana gets a play to go back, and he's just not back on defense, and he's complaining to the ref, and he gives up a bucket or 2 or 3 that could be a game-winning shot or a shot down the road that's in the fourth quarter, and that changes the whole momentum, and he's visibly upset. Pacers notice he's visibly upset, and it deters his whole mindset in the game.
Right.
It's all about his mindset, because if the Pacers see that he's clearly upset about this foul and is still arguing about it, plays after it's happened, they know they're in his head.
Yeah, and it's obvious. Like when you're playing to draw a foul, you're just not going to play as good as when you're playing to score the basket. Play to score the basket,
Yeah.
and then the fouls will come on their own. So,
Right.
yeah.
So I couldn't find the exact list. The only ones that are popping in my head right now, obviously Jalen Brunson and Porzingis.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Always.
So I don't know.
forgot
I
about
mean,
Porzingis.
we've seen reports of Luka being, people don't really like playing with him. That's obviously something we can talk about another time.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last thing before we do our X Factor check-in with the Knicks and Pacers is the injury impact on this series. It's been interesting because, I think certain injuries have hurt and certain injuries have helped each team. And I'll ask you, because obviously you're the only one that really hasn't had the floor yet on this series. What have been your takes on both sides with all the injuries so far?
Okay, I'm
What
going
kind
to
of
start
impact?
with the Knicks.
Go for it.
And that's because they have a ton of injuries. So they don't have Randall, obviously. And I think that's a good thing for them.
Yep.
They don't have Mitch right now. And OG's been banged up. Brunson has even been banged up. And who else, right?
OG's probably out for the series.
OG's out for the
Yeah.
series.
Probably, I said.
Okay.
Because it is a hamstring.
Right.
He's definitely not playing Sunday.
That's very big yikes. because
Bojan.
Bojan, right. Bojan. So, yeah, man, here's the thing. All the calls, going back to the officiating really fast, all the calls have been going the Knicks' way, especially in the crucial moments. But here's the thing. The Knicks are down so many big-time players that it's like, okay, the Pacers, you guys have the best offense. You guys should be beating the Knicks because all they have is just the Nova 3, right?
Right.
So it's like,
Well, don't
you
forget.
can use it as an excuse.
forget
You guys should be beating them. Okay,
Yeah,
Hartenstein as well. He's
Yeah.
been playing outstanding.
I got to find the tweet I made because it actually counterpoints to what you were saying.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look for that right now.
Yeah, find that. But
I think the loss that I feel the most is OG, Randall, Mitch. Mitch didn't see the court until like the second half of the season. Even then, Hartenstein. Let me just scratch my eye before I got out of the mic. Hartenstein filled in perfectly, and I love Hartenstein. He's always been. He's a guy that the fans love. He puts in a lot of work defensively on the boards. He works on offense, but especially the defense. Mitch, it's fine. I think OG's the one I feel the most because his defense is much needed.
I think he's the only one
that significantly
because I found my tweet. I made this tweet on February 8th of this year.
Okay.
I said the Knicks refusing to get off of Randall and Robinson is the only reason why I don't see them making the finals because I don't think you can win with them starting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, when they're not
You can't
starting,
win with Randall starting.
No. Bro, do you realize how many times Randall's just shot them out of games?
Well, look, if you made Randall like the second or third option, you can win with him.
He's not doing that.
Well, that's only because he's getting paid.
Right. But the Nova 3 would not be doing what they're doing if Randall was out there playing 40 minutes a game, taking like 30 shots and making like 7 of them.
Yeah.
So, look, without Randall, you're actually seeing what this Knicks team can do.
Yeah.
Right? Albeit, I don't think it's as dominant as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, Randall, I think, also was holding Brunson back.
Yeah.
You saw Brunson really come into his own since he got hurt. He went from, All-Star, being put into the All-Star game to now being in MVP conversations. Mm-hmm. So I think, and look, I do think both Randall and Robinson are serial playoff droppers, just like Joel Embiid. And I don't get yeah.
Okay, it's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, don't be fooled by what you see from Randall and Robinson in the regular season because they're not going to be reliable. So this, at the end of the day, this tweet's pretty accurate. It's kind of wrong because they didn't get rid of them, but the fact that they're not playing, they very well could get to the finals. And I think you kind of replace these mentally soft guys with Josh Hart, who'd still probably start anyways, but
love Josh Hart.
But Josh Hart and DiVincenzo are way tougher than Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle. Don't get it twisted. And especially the natural chemistry those three have together from playing in college for all those years. And look, I think that's probably a plus for them. On the Pacers side of things, Halliburton's got to stay held together, man. His obviously still not fully healed from that hamstring injury. He's got back problems now. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. They still have no Benedict Mathurin, which is a huge loss for them. Mm-hmm. He could be just an explosive 15 to 20 points off their bench on any given night. So definitely very interesting as far as that goes. But I think before we move on to the Western Conference, let's do our little X Factor check, and we'll start off with you again for each team.
I had Hart for the Knicks.
No, we didn't allow Hart.
Yeah, because, bro, he's already...
Oh, I know. I had Hartenstein.
He's basically a star player.
I had Hartenstein, which I think has been doing pretty good. I think we're getting what we've asked from him, outside of the Nova 3 being, his defense, his presence on the floor, alongside, Precious Achua. Those are the two big guys we have right now. There's no Mitch. There's no Randall.
Consider it a blessing, man.
There's just Precious, who's been doing pretty good, and Hartenstein, but I think we rely on Hartenstein to perform a lot better than him. And then for Pacers, McConnell, I don't know. I don't think he's gotten to us like we said he was last week.
Oh, he definitely has.
I don't know.
You can blame Rick Carlisle for that.
Okay.
Because he has like the highest plus minus in this entire series, and he hasn't played in the final 7 minutes of like each game. So that's why Rick Carlisle hasn't really helped himself out as much because he's a little stubborn with those rotations. Like game one, obviously they should have won game one to start with, but he should have closed with TJ McConnell instead of Tyrese Halliburton because Tyrese was just not playing good in game one. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I also had Hartenstein and Halliburton, same as him.
Hartenstein and McConnell.
I'm sorry, Hartenstein and McConnell. Mm-hmm. TJ's been giving you guys trouble. Like, just
especially game one.
yeah, bro. Oh, he's just a joy to watch.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
And just he plays the right way, puts guys in the right spots, just scores all his points off middies. It's great. And obviously Hartenstein it's safe to say, I think if you had evaluated Hartenstein about a month ago, I would say easy $15-16 million extension. The Knicks easily could have swung that. He's playing so well that he's played himself out of New York, and he's going to get a fat bag. You're looking at probably, if Claxton wants $25 million, I can only imagine what Hartenstein's going to want, because he's just more impactful. He's stronger. He's tougher. So I think he's going to be he's going to be the key with OG out if you guys really can make a finals run. And I'm curious to see what we have. But I know you had two different players for your X factors.
Yeah, I had what's his name? What's his first name?
Deuce. Miles McBride.
Miles McBride. Yeah,
He's been okay.
I mean, he's been kind of like
A little subpar compared to the Philly series.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and also I had Isaiah Jackson.
He had a nice block last night.
He did have a nice block.
A nice block last night.
Yes. But on the offensive side, still,
you're not going to get much from him on the offensive side.
Yeah,
he is a. I love the kind of like the way the Pacers have gone from, they had straight dogs on defense. Like they used to have Brogdon.
Yeah.
They used to have O'Shea Brissett. Like those guys were tough defensively. Obviously not like star caliber players, but guys that really are tough. And obviously now they've gone all offense. They got to balance it out now. But I'll let you continue. I'm sorry.
No. That's pretty much all I had to say. Kind of, not really having a huge impact on the series, those guys, but
yeah,
I think they'll figure it out. They're fine. They'll flow.
Spot minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
But anything else on the Eastern Conference? Oh wait, predictions for the rest of the series. Duh.
Oh, I think.
What do you got?
Did I say Knicks in 5?
No, you said Knicks in 6.
Oh, I'm staying with that. I'm not changing that.
I'm sticking with Pacers in 6, man.
Wow.
Sticking with it.
6. Yeah.
Could go 7.
I think I said Knicks in 6.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sticking with
One of you might have went 7, but I don't.
No, I didn't go 7.
Then yeah, I think it will be.
No, it was 6. Yeah.
So still sticking with it.
6.
Yeah. I think I probably could switch the Pacers in 7. I still think the Pacers are going to win the series.
Okay.
Just depends on the refs. Because if the refs ref, then Knicks in 5.
Okay.
But we'll see.
All right.
So
We'll see.
all right, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And let's move into the West. All right, into the Western Conference playoffs, Western Conference Semifinals, actually. We'll get into the 1-5 matchup first, which is the OKC Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks, which just ended about a few minutes ago at the time of recording. Dallas took it 105-101. Big 27-point performance from PJ Washington. Luka and Kyrie combined for 44 points. Luka also had 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Just a very good game from Dallas, very more controlled, a lot more contributions from everyone. On the Thunder end, SGA scored his 60th 31-point game. And outside of that, not really much else help around. J-Dub had 16, did get hurt in the game, so we don't know. We obviously didn't watch it, obviously, because we've been recording, but we'll see what happens with that. So Dallas now goes up 2-1. They obviously have home court advantage now. Now that they did steal one in OKC. Game 4 should be sometime before this episode comes out in Dallas again. So we'll see what happens there. Excuse me. So I'll ask you, Gio, with this series, just kind of go out from both perspectives from Dallas and OKC. What does each team need to do from here on out if they want to win this series?
All right, well, start off with the Mavs. I think they need to get continued production from PJ Washington. The way he's been playing right now is amazing. I think the game before today, he had 29 on 7 for 11 from 3. So if he shoots like that, if this is PJ Washington, they could contend for real. But if this is just like a 2 games and done type of deal, then I don't think they can contend. So it's really going to be up to him. Also, obviously, Luka and Kyrie have to continue to do what they do. But I think they need that third guy to step up for points-wise. They need that third guy. And if that's PJ, I think they can contend. Now for the Thunder, how's Chet been doing? Because I haven't really watched him much.
He's definitely been struggling a little bit more this series. Obviously, Valanciunas was terrible last series, so it was kind of easy for him to look good. He's kind of, I don't really.
Inconsistent, would you say, or is it just like he has not been producing?
He's definitely, I wouldn't say not been producing. I mean, today, 13 points, 5 and 9 shooting, 8 rebounds. He's definitely playing good. He's just,
It's not enough.
I think Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively are giving him more trouble than Valanciunas and Larry Nance Jr. were, essentially. And keep in mind, it's only his first playoffs, so it's kind of hard for him to really set that kind of standard.
I expect more from him, regardless.
That's fair.
I expect more, and I expect him. I feel like he's a good enough shooter to take more shots from the outside as well. I think they need to get more sets for him for shooting wise, because once he starts knocking down shots, that will open up the floor for him way more.
Right.
So I think they need to play a little bit more around Chet. Obviously, SGA is the main guy.
Yeah.
You play around SGA, but you need to also spread that to Chet, I think, because he's supposed to be that number 2 guy. I think he's talented enough to be that. So we'll see if they make adjustments and do that. But, yeah.
I like the PJ take, though, because he's really their Energizer bunny, essentially. I think they really need him, especially because you haven't seen the Luka you're used to or the Kyrie you're used to. Obviously, they have their typical moments throughout the game, but I think PJ is definitely going to be a big contributing piece of this series. And I think without him, who knows where they'd be right now? So
right, because who else is stepping up on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, nobody.
If it's not him. Who is it?
No one, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's no
So it has
bench
to be him.
depth. They got nothing.
You're just grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Aside from that, as for the Thunder, I think just across the board, you're just not really getting the play from the Pelicans series, which shouldn't be a surprise. Dallas is clearly the better team, so you're gonna struggle a little bit more. And as the 1 seed, you just got to stay locked in.
Yeah.
And kind of go from there. So,
What do you think, A?
I think we were talking about this. I'm gonna go back to OKC. Like, we put Chet and J-Dub as the stars of the team along with SGA, but do they need another SGA type of talent on that team besides those 2 guys? And I think it's a yes. I think Chet, it's his first season. I think he can be that guy eventually, and maybe we'll go back on what I just asked, but they need some, I wish Giddey would be like he was last year, but I don't think he's ever going to be like that again. I don't know.
no, bro's washed.
He's a really good player. He was really good for them last year in his rookie season.
He's not locked in.
No, he's not.
I don't know where his head is at.
Just everything that happened this season, it's, probably detrimental to him a little bit as well. But I think Dallas definitely is the better team right now with their guys on the court. They have the big bodies. Gafford defensively is amazing. PJ, the trade deadline acquisition from Charlotte, paid off dividends for them. He could be a piece there with Luka and Kyrie. I think they just signed Kidd to an extension, so that's their guy. They believe in him to lead into the future. Like I said, they need more just depth. Overall, Brunson was a good depth piece for them when they went a few years ago. He's the backup point guard, and they relied on him heavily. Now that he's gone, you don't have that backup point guard off the bench for you anymore. That could be a 6th man or just a guy they can rely on.
I don't know. It's like it's different because obviously you had an elite 6-man, but now you have an all-star next to you have like a genuine Hall of Famer next to Luka.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily need that bench punch because you can just have Kyrie or even Luka run the second unit. Whoever wants to start that second quarter and fourth quarter out, essentially you can do, right? Obviously it helps to have a 6-man that's capable, but that's not always the case.
I mean, I think Hardaway coming off the bench is pretty good. I think.
Yeah, that's a shooter. That's definitely going to help you out.
Yeah, he was like 50% from 3 this series, and he's like shooting very well from the field. I think he's a plus.
Do you think you need a more
overall.
creative option though as a 6th man?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Tim Hardaway as a
because
former
when Luka's not on the floor, Kyrie's on the floor, right?
At least I would
Like
hope.
someone's always on the floor.
Yeah.
So I don't think you need.
Unless they're in foul trouble, you have to stagger their minutes.
Right.
But they must be on the floor at the beginning of the first, at the end of the second, at the beginning of the third, and at the end of the fourth.
So someone's always going to be on the floor for either Kyrie or Luka.
Right.
So I don't think you need a creative option. I think you need like more players to like find their role and understand their role on the team, understand the identity that they have on that team.
Right.
I think you need more of that, because once you have players that understand their role on the team, as PJ Washington, who just got on the team, he understands his role on the team.
Right.
Players like that, that's more valuable than having a player like Brunson, who is a great player, but that it's also going to take the ball away from Luka and Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? So it's more valuable to have those players that just understand their role and they're stars in their role. You know, so I think that's better. I think they need more guys like that, and I think those guys are stepping up. Josh Green as well. He's playing great.
He's
Green
awesome.
was doing good.
I think it's good for PJ and Gafford specifically because they've been playing losing basketball for so many years. They finally have the opportunity and they're not letting it slip.
Yeah.
I think that's really big for them.
Yeah. It's huge. This is it. I feel like if the Mavericks are going to win anything with Luka as their best player, this is kind of the team to do it with. As long as everyone else like steps up to what they're supposed to. This is kind of, look, they're big. They got size. They got Luka and Kyrie, great scorers, and they got some good role players. PJ Washington, who's stepping up. Like, this is a good team. They can do it with this team if they continue to lock in and just, you know, follow through with what's put around them.
Yeah. I think that transitions into what I was going to ask you guys now, if the Thunder and Mavs are finals contenders.
It's so tough because I just think Denver and Minnesota are just miles better. Mm-hmm. It's tough, man. I don't know if they have the bodies to endure. Sorry, I don't know if they have the bodies to endure the physicality of Jokic, Gordon, MPJ, or Cat, Rudy, Nas. You know, even Denver and Minnesota have athletic wings. Dallas has holes on their roster. You know,
Where?
I think their lack of wing depth is not as good as it should be.
Okay.
Obviously, your defense is good. Your bigs are not battle tested. I think that's another question mark. And I think just with OKC specifically, I just still don't think they're ready. You're starting to see things get exploited and exposed here and there. And really, they're going to have to rely on SGA a lot more to kind of get things going. And, you know, you're going to have nights where he's the only one scoring over 20. You're going to have nights where, you know, where J-Dub and Chet are inefficient. You know, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just think at the end of the day, and also too, the conference finals is really when basketball IQ kicks in.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, you got really smart players out on the floor. You know, obviously Dallas and OKC have them as well, but I just think if you're comparing the basketball mind of Jokic and Anthony Edwards to that of SGA and Luke, I'm not saying they don't have great basketball minds, but I just feel like they can put their guys in the right spots at a more efficient, better rate, along with the coaching being better too.
I think Luka might have something to say about that, but
he could. I'm not saying he doesn't,
right?
But I just think Jokic and Ant do it at a higher level.
Okay.
I also do trust Mike Malone and Chris Finch more in a playoff series than a Mark Dagnall. As good as he's been, he just really hasn't had to make those adjustments in his coaching career yet. As well as Jason Kidd, who's always been a questionable head coach to begin with. So I say no to OKC, definite. I say no to both of them, actually.
Okay.
I do think the only way they get to the finals is if Denver or Minnesota is heavily banged up.
Wow. Okay. Now, what are we qualifying as a contender? Because if we really think about it, everyone in the playoffs right now is a contender.
He said finals contender.
Finals contender.
Can they get to the finals?
Can they get past?
Is there a pathway for them to get past Minnesota or Denver?
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. I think the Mavs are. I don't think the Thunder are, like you said, because they're just young, inexperienced. I think once they have this experience under their belt, they'll come back.
Yeah.
But I think the Mavs are. I think this is their time. And I think they know that. But, you know, like I said before, I think they have size. I think they can match up decently against Jokic. Obviously, Jokic is going to get his. But Gafford is tough. Gafford is an athletic big. He's tough, man. I mean, if he's banged up, it can go the other way. But also, I think their wings are good, actually. PJ's a wing, right?
Not really.
What's his name?
He's a big man.
I wouldn't call him a wing.
I wouldn't call him a big either.
No, he's a big.
He's in that weird in between.
Yeah.
I feel like your wings, guys like Derek Jones Jr., who was very inefficient today.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's just hard when you know you have, if you're looking at Jaden McDaniels or you're looking at Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Like those are guys those are the athletic 3-and-D wings. And I feel like they just bring that extra oomph that I'm not saying Derek Jones Jr. can't. He's a good energy shifter, but I just don't think Dallas has a lot of them at their exposure.
Okay. All right. Well, I still think they're contenders. I do.
All right.
That's fair.
I think Dallas has the best shot over OKC out of any of them.
I agree on that front, definitely.
I just don't know if it's over Mini or Denver. I don't think that's going to.
Right. Fully healthy Mini or Denver, I think,
Yeah.
can handle them easily.
You can't really argue that.
No.
So.
No, yeah. No, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
But let's do a little check-in on our X factors from the series.
I had Lively and oh crap.
You had said J-Dub, but we shot it
Oh, it was
down.
J-Dub.
Did we allow him to do it? We did
Yeah,
allow
we
him
did.
to do it,
I think
yeah.
so.
I think Lively's been doing okay off the bench. I don't know much.
He's been giving Chet some trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, as a rookie, 7-1, after everything he's been through, I definitely think he's doing a superb job.
Yeah. I think, I hope he becomes that starting five if they don't retain Gafford. He's a lot of great potential. He's their draft pick from this year. I think he's really good. And then J-Dub, we left early in the game today, but he's that, steady guy that they rely on. No problems with him, I think, so far. I think he's, needs to play better to get this series win, of course. If he's going to be, a scoring option with SG and Chet, they got to put up points and, get back in the series and not let it go to 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had Derek Jones Jr., which we just talked about.
Same.
He was great in, I think, one of the games. Don't remember exactly which one.
One.
It was game one?
I think so.
I think it was game one. It was either game one or game two.
Yeah.
But, tonight he was really inefficient. He was like 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, 1 of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
1 of 10.
He's the rough one. Rough day at the office. For OKC, I said Isaiah Joe. He showed up today.
Yeah.
Showed up today. I think it was 5 of 7 from the field, 13 points, if I remember correctly. This dude is just, for some reason, right? There's just something about Isaiah Joe that just produces at a high level. I don't know. There's just something about him.
He's a player.
Yeah. And I don't know how when he got waived from Philly, he just walked right to OKC. Mm-hmm. No fuss, making a really cheap deal. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most underrated players right now, I'd say.
Yeah.
Off the bench.
Yeah, nobody knows about him.
Exactly.
Including me.
This kid's a sniper.
Yeah,
he is an absolute sniper.
He's good.
So I know you had Derek Jones.
Yeah, I had DJ.
All right.
He's also inefficient. He's been inefficient. So, they won despite him. So he hasn't really been a super X factor, but going both ways.
Right. Yeah.
But on OKC side, I had Lou Dort.
He's been okay.
He's been aight.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it from this perspective, if I were to play devil's advocate here, his task is guarding Luka.
Yeah.
Luka's not been Luka. He's been good, but he's not been, MVP caliber Luka.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, his impact on defense is still like amazing.
I don't think there's much you can really ask him offensively if you're trying to ask him to stop Luka.
You're right.
Yeah.
So he's been great then.
He's holding his own.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say great because great would be impacting on both ends.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would say he's been good. He's definitely holding his own.
In his role.
Exactly.
He's been good.
Star in your role.
Yeah.
And what do you guys see the series transpiring out? I know you both said Thunder in 7.
Did I say that? I think I'm gonna stick by it.
I said Mavs in 6. I am going to say Mavs in 6. I do think Dallas wins game 4. I think OKC forces a game 6 in game 5.
Yeah.
And then I think Dallas just ends it at home.
It's really hard right now not to go Mavs in 7, but I'll just stick with Thunder.
Yeah.
Because I said it.
Write it out.
Stick.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Even though you switched the other one.
I did, but I want to stick to at least one of them.
No, that's fair. You switched for hating purposes. So, but any final things on this series?
No, let's get on to
the last one.
last one.
Yes. Well, let's get into the Nuggets and Timberwolves. The series is 2-1 with the Timberwolves leading, and Timberwolves blew out the Nuggets in game 2, and they won both game 1 and 2. Nuggets blew out the Timberwolves in game 3. So what do both teams need to do from here? Tyler, let's start with you.
Oof, it's a lot.
Yeah.
again, a really weird series. Saw a really close game one. Then you saw Denver just not show up, and then you saw Minnie not show up. So, like, I think this was the first time we've actually seen the Nuggets all playoffs play like the defending champs. There was a sense of urgency, desperation. I mean, it clearly was a must-win game. You don't want to go down 3-0, especially on the road. And look, I mean, with Minnesota, they just were flat the entire game. I really give Anthony Edwards props for, taking accountability after that loss, which is something we did not see Jason Tatum do.
Yeah.
I think just across the board, Minnesota's discipline is starting to hang in the balance, because you saw throughout that game they were getting a little frustrated with the refs, even though they had more free throw attempts than Denver did. You saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker get ejected last night. You saw Kyle Anderson almost get tossed last night. And that's something that Denver did in game two. They managed to adjust it. And, they managed to play their game. They dictated the play. And I think Minnesota just needs to keep playing their game.
Yeah.
Because we see they were just fresh off the best, honestly, one of the best defensive performances ever in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see clamps like that for a very long time, or even ever. But I think with Minnesota, it's just, they gotta stay disciplined. I think that's really the only thing. And I think Mike Nori's done a fine job since Chris Finch has gotten hurt, which is crazy talking about a coach injury. It's just so weird. But I mean, you're just seeing across the board just a dip from that almost like a sugar high they had in the first two games. And they're kind of on their sugar crash right now. You saw Ant really didn't have that fire. You saw Cat really wasn't playing good in the second half. You saw Rudy, even with his dad's strength, it's different though. Remember, he had a boy, Luka and Jokic, when they popped off in their playoff runs, had girls. It's like girl dad energy. I'm telling you, girl dad energy is
it's
real.
A thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think obviously congrats to Rudy, by the way. I don't think we ever did.
Yeah.
But I think with Minnesota, I think you're definitely going to need some more production from your other guys defensively, because it's very clear offensively they're not, like, we watched Denver play like crap for those two games. They gave up 106 in both of those games. They were actually playing fine defense. They just were turning the ball over too much, and that leads me into my Denver point. Ball security is the most important thing with this team, because when they had their first turnover in the second quarter, like midway through, and it was just a body bump with Naz Reid and Jokic, and they lost the ball. But I think with ball security, it prevents fast break points. It prevents points off turnovers, which Minnesota were just racking up like they were going out of style. And, look, when Denver took care of the ball, they handled business quite easily. And that's the Denver Nuggets that we all know. That's the kind of basketball that they need to keep playing. And if I think they play like that, they could easily walk to a title. So on both of those ends, it's super important. I think your bench help I think it more relies on Minnesota. You really need points from Naz Reid. You need the defensive presence from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, although he's hurt now. Don't know his status for Game 4 tomorrow at the time of recording.
That's huge.
And on Denver's end, look, you're going to get what you're going to get from Reggie Jackson. He's hobbled. You're going to get what you're going to get from Christian Brown. Peyton Watson's out of the rotation right now. So it's really interesting to see what Mike Malone does with the rotations going forward. And I definitely think Mike Nori and Chris Finch need to make the necessary adjustments to get Minnesota to just get a full stranglehold on the series.
So what adjustments need to be made for Minnesota going into Game 4?
I think the biggest thing is defending without fouling. I mean, Cat gets into foul trouble a lot. And you saw Jaden McDaniels pick up 4 fouls with 10 minutes left in the third quarter. So that's obviously huge. And obviously, if you're not doing well defensively, the offense isn't going to generate for a team that's not the greatest offensively, all outside of Anthony Edwards. But I definitely think Denver made the right adjustments. And I really think the adjustments with Minnesota really need to be more mental. Kind of same thing with what Denver did. They just mentally weren't there. They weren't locked in. They were trolling. And essentially that's what Minnesota did last night. But obviously give credit to both teams in their wins, because I think these are the two best current teams in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone better. And I think it's just really the funniest thing, after watching yesterday, we're really seeing all 8 teams are showing vulnerability, which is quite strange. You really don't see that very often, because you saw the Celtics fall asleep. You saw the Nuggets fall asleep. You saw the Wolves fall asleep. The Thunder just fell asleep. So it's like close but boring at the same time, these playoffs. And I think this series is the only one that has the capability of becoming a thriller, like an all-time thriller, because I don't think we've really seen a series as electric since Nets Bucks. I might be biased in saying that, but it genuinely was.
Yeah.
Like, the series was so intense that I still have not emotionally recovered from Game 7, and it's almost, we're almost halfway through 2024. So we're pushing on 3 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I just think with both of these teams, it's going to be a really good Game 4. Minnesota will definitely come out better.
Yes.
Can Denver sustain their play? And I think you finally saw a good game from Jamal Murray, which hopefully should give Denver a sign of life going forward.
Yeah. What do you think, Anthony? What do both teams need to do going into Game 4 to have the best shot at winning the game?
Oh, I mean, I think, of course, Minnesota needs to definitely regroup after what happened yesterday. Definitely tempers flared. I think they need to regroup themselves and just go out there. They have home court and just take the lead and make it 3-1 going back to Denver, right? It would be Game 5 in Denver.
Yep.
They already won both there. They could probably win that one, but I don't think that's going to happen with Denver. I don't think Denver wants to go out in 5 games, of course. I think Denver regrouped really well after those 2 games. Jamal and Jokic both showed up yesterday and took care of business in Minnesota. They're going to have to do it again one more time before going back to Denver. I think they're going to have the starting 5 for Denver really needs to what's the word I'm looking for? Definitely Jamal and Jokic need to be on their game. And Minnesota. MPJ has been doing, I think, what he's been tasked to do. Put up points. Definitely a lot on defense as well. KCP, he's not been doing a lot offensively, I don't think. He's been defensively.
They don't really need him to. He's guarding Ant.
Yeah.
He's hurt.
Gordon's got to, of course, defensively put in his, work, and offensively, he's not, the Jokic offensively, and MPJ and Jamal. Those are their 3. But they definitely need to just stick together, play their game they know against a really good Minnesota team. Same thing goes to Minnesota. I think it goes both hand in hand with both those guys. Just play their game, and it's got to definitely took accountability for Game 3. He's going to have to rebound at home, and if he could put up a Game 1-2 performance with 40, they'll probably get it done at home. Rudy's going to be back, hopefully.
Well, he was back yesterday.
Oh yes, he was back. I don't know why. Rudy is back. They won 2 games without him, or was it 1 game?
They won the 1 game. He played in Game 1, and they won by I think 6 or 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Game 2 was complete blowout.
Yeah.
Game 3 again.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got it done without Rudy. Is it possible that they could play better without Rudy? I don't think so. That's DPOY on your team. You definitely need him there. So, going forward in the future, if they want to keep either one or the other, Cat and Rudy, this is kind of the same talk with Cleveland with Mobley and Allen.
Wait, hold on. I have one point to make about that.
Go ahead.
Because I think teams are going to start using this as strategy to take out one of their key players right before the game. Because we've seen Jarrett Allen was taken out, or he didn't play, and they won the game. And then the same thing with the Timberwolves. They took out Gobert and they blew out the Nuggets.
I mean, it wasn't. Okay. They didn't take him out.
With who?
Gobert and Allen were not taken out.
But they didn't play.
Well, yeah, they couldn't.
Right.
So.
But what I'm saying is, the teams they don't play to the teams that are playing against the team that has the impact player that's out of the game. Yeah. They don't play to the same level. Because they're expecting something different, or they game planned for this, but now you have this other player that they didn't game plan for. They're in the game now, and so it's I don't know how to explain it, but I think it kind of favors the team that doesn't have that impact player on the floor for 1 game only.
Well, because playoffs are next man up, adrenaline pumping.
Exactly. So I think that helps.
It does help, and I think you saw that in Game 2. Obviously, no Rudy. You already are up one zip. You kind of really need to make a statement there.
Yeah. You saw it with the Clippers too. Kawhi was out.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
Well, they're used to playing without Kawhi. Yeah. So
I'm curious with Minnesota, and if this is offseason talk, if they move on, I'm assuming it's Cat. I don't think you move on from Rudy.
No, you can't move on. No one's going to take him.
How, if you insert Naz Reid into that 4 spot with Rudy, how that works out. I don't know if that's experimental for them to see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. That's something for next year. But right now, Cat's a homegrown guy. I don't know where he would go. I think you kind of need him, but if you want to help the team out, whatever Tim Connolly's thinking about down the road for him and that team, if they make a finals, win the finals, who knows? Things could possibly change and Cat stays. Mm-hmm. We don't know until once the finals ends and whoever is in it. But I think right now, going back to Tim Connolly, this is kind of the series of his teams he built. So I guess you can kind of say it's his main team all together, but they're not all together. It's 2 separate teams.
Yeah, but he's just kind of building his. Yeah, we're getting to the point where we're gonna have to start having some uncomfortable conversations about Tim Connolly.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
As moving up in the ranks of the best GMs ever.
Yeah,
and regardless of which one of these 2 teams wins, if they get there, right? Because obviously he did 95% of the work with Denver, and is currently building up Minnesota from their from their flounders and their fumbles and everything like that. So definitely interesting there. I definitely think he's underrated as far as GMs go, or president of basketball operations or whatever. But obviously there's still a lot of work left to be done to get up there with the Pat Rileys of the world and the RC Bufords and guys like that. So Tim Connolly's definitely doing his thing as far as all of that goes. Obviously, we can talk more about him later on in the playoffs because obviously one of his teams is going to the conference finals.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about 2 things regarding 2 specific players. Obviously, we already touched on Rudy a little bit. I kind of want to focus on Jamal Murray because we saw a lot of out-of-character moments in these first 2 games, really in these playoffs. I'll ask you, Gio. 1, do you think he deserved to be suspended for Game 3? And 2, I just completely blanked out on the second thing I was going to ask you. So why don't you just answer the first question first?
We'll start with number 1. And I think absolutely he should have been suspended. Okay, because it looked like he was trying to hurt the ref or trying to cause him to slip on the ice pack that he just threw at his feet. I don't know what that's about.
Or just get his attention.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was trying to, because it's a little much.
Yeah.
Throwing, right by his feet. That's a little, And he did something else. I forget what he did. What was it? He did something.
He threw a towel first, and it didn't make it.
So it was a towel, and then the ice pack.
Yeah.
Okay, that's insane. Okay, yeah. If you're doing throwing anything at the ref, you should be suspended.
Right.
Because they have the authority in that game, and you're defying that authority that they have in officiating the game.
Right.
So that's a suspension. I don't know. What else would qualify? I understand it's the playoffs, but come on.
I think if it was either 1-1, I think if it was 1-1, he would have been. He definitely would have been suspended. I think if he also had a history, which he doesn't, if it was someone like Draymond who has a history, that's why I never understood the comparisons, because Draymond's done umpteenth other things of deserving suspensions. I don't think Jamal Murray's been ejected once in his career. I could be wrong, but
probably.
He probably has, but he has no track record of anything of that nature. Yeah. So I can understand why in those circumstances not.
How much does that matter, though? Your history. It doesn't matter if you cross the line or you don't, right? Isn't that how it should be called?
Well, it depends, right? Because you think about it, right? If it's a heat of the moment thing, if it's someone that constantly does this, then it's definitely not a heat of the moment thing because this is habitual. With someone like Jamal Murray, this could have been a heat of the moment, out of character moment. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of, I guess. That's just me playing devil's advocate.
I'm more of if it crosses the line, it crosses the line. I don't care who you are. I don't care what game it is. I don't care. It's a suspension.
Yeah.
I don't care what your name is, Draymond Green. I don't care.
Yeah. I think if he was gone for Game 3, this is Minnesota winning that game, and it's a 3-0 lead. And it's a completely flip of momentum for Denver. And, I don't know if the league wants that. It's a tough scenario. I mean, he got fined a hefty amount of money, which...
Yeah, you got fined $100K.
Yeah, which is nothing to him, probably.
It's something.
He's making $36 million this year alone.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, it's $100K.
Or 33. I think he makes 36 next year.
Yeah. But, I think Game 3, without him, it's probably 3-0 Minnesota easily. And that's a whole different series. You're looking at a sweep going into Game 4, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
And then you get a sweep of Denver, and what happens with that?
Yeah, I mean, Denver's trying to defy the odds. I think it's been I think it's been like 5 years. Well, this would be the 5th year if they lose that the defending champions don't get past round 2. Same thing, 5 years also since the reigning MVP would not get past round 2 either. So the year they won the award, you go out essentially.
Yeah.
So, and albeit most of those MVPs over the past few years have been with injured teams, so it's kind of hard to do that. Because obviously Jokic didn't have Murray in either of the 2 years he won his MVP in the postseason. Because obviously he got hurt the first year in like April, and then obviously not having him or MPJ the season afterwards. Obviously Embiid went out in the second round last year, and then Giannis his second MVP in the bubble lost in round 2 to Miami. So definitely interesting as far as that goes. I'm really trying to remember what it was with Jamal Murray I was going to say. I just completely
Was it about the game, his impact on the game?
It was something. It was something with his play, because obviously he has not played well at all outside of the 2 game winners against the Lakers. Maybe the game 5 against the Lakers he was good.
Yeah, he played.
But he compared to what he did last year, where he was healthy completely. But at the same time, it's like if he's not healthy, just don't play. Because if you're going to use that as an excuse, then you shouldn't be out there. But
is a hurt Jamal Murray better than a Jamal Murray that doesn't play at all? Or like a healthy whoever, Reggie Jackson?
Well, Reggie Jackson,
he's not healthy either.
I think the problem is that Murray's been so inefficient that he's been hurting them.
Yeah.
Like if he was locked in from the start and was efficient, they probably wouldn't be trailing at the half against LA.
Yeah.
So it's definitely interesting. And I think you're seeing Jokic pace himself a little bit better because he is getting tired up against Naz Reid and them. He's still playing outstanding. And the funniest thing is that this is probably one of his worst playoffs, and he's still averaging a triple-double, which is ridiculous. He almost had one last night. So it's definitely weird. I don't know. The series is very uncharacteristic from both sides, more so on Denver because you've seen them be dominant all season long. Obviously, they're getting a little bit bit by the injury bug, but everyone is. Everyone's got something happening throughout the postseason. So I think we just transitioned right into our X Factor check-in. We'll go back to you, Antoine. Who'd you have for both teams?
Oh, I had Naz, and I think Naz is pretty good so far. I think he's just phenomenal what he does off the bench, and I think he'll still be a big X Factor for them down the road in the series. We'll see what happens, who advances, who doesn't, but he's going to be an integral part of what they do. And then I think for Denver, I had Christian Braun.
Yeah, Christian Braun.
I don't think he's done. I mean, he's a bench guy.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Out of anyone on that Denver roster, gave Ant the most trouble.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been
He's
the
a
only
solid guy.
one. Yeah. He's just that. He's just a stocky, athletic guy.
He got size.
Exactly. Yeah. He knows how to win. I also had.
He does.
Yeah,
Who
I
are
also had
yours?
Christian Brown.
Yeah, Christian.
And Naz had the same thing.
And Peyton Watson.
Peyton Watson just
both.
hasn't been playing, which you're not going to get the opportunities you're not going to get a chance to be the X Factor if you don't play.
Yeah.
Naz Reid was outstanding in the fourth quarter in game 1. He was outstanding in game 2. Was piss poor in game 3. So
That's why they lost.
I mean, when you lose by 27. Oh, that was the Jamal Murray thing I wanted to say, because the crowd was booing him from the start.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of fueled him.
Yeah.
I think the funniest thing was one of my friends tweeted, the Minnesota crowd spent all night booing 27 just to lose by 27. So yeah, no, but that was the one thing I forgot to ask you about was the booing and everything. But I think that fuels him.
Yeah.
And I think that'll definitely be.
He's got that type of dog in him, enough to embrace the hate.
Be the bad guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's that type of. He's the villain. He's the villain.
Yeah. And I think, I think Naz Reid just needs to be better, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Look, I understand he won 6th Man of the Year, but none of that matters in the playoffs. You got to just show up. And I think he will be better.
I think so.
They better be better if they want to move on.
Yeah.
So, and who did you have?
I can't remember if I picked Mike Conley or
You picked
Mikal.
Mike Conley.
Did I pick?
I think you had Conley.
I didn't have Alexander Walker.
Nope.
No.
I know you picked Mike Conley because
Yeah,
I
you
was
picked
editing the video.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Conley. I expected more from him this series. I mean, he hasn't had to really step up that much.
He's been good, man.
I mean, he's been good, but I expect more from Mike Conley though, especially last game.
I don't know. It's just like Mike Conley's always that bright spot for Minnesota, regardless of what happens.
Not last night.
Let me see what his stat line was last night, because
It
I think
didn't
he
seem
was
good.
he was one of the better Wolves on the floor.
Was he?
Yes.
I mean, he always seems to have everything under control, but in terms of efficiency, I don't think he was that good.
It's just who he is.
Yeah.
So Mike Conley last night, he had 10 points, 3 and 9. Yeah, he wasn't efficient, but
Okay.
he still had 6 rebounds and 6 assists.
Okay, so he was solid. He was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, Mike Conley's always going to produce, but I feel like he can have more of an effect, especially when you're playing at home. I expect more from Mike Conley.
Yeah.
But going on to the Nuggets, I had KCP, I think.
Mm-hmm.
KCP is hurt. And it's pretty obvious to me that he's hurt, but he's still playing well. And he's still running 100 miles per hour. Like, and so much respect for KCP. Guys like KCP and guys like Josh Hart, those guys, you win with those guys.
Yeah.
So I have so much respect for him, whether or not he's scoring. Whether he's scoring or not, I'm going to say. But, yeah, so.
Denver needs to pay him whatever he wants at the end of this season.
They should.
Because I don't think they're necessarily I think they can still be a contender, but not as nearly as easy without him,
100%.
essentially. So obviously now that the series is almost halfway in, well, we think it's halfway in, we don't know. Has predictions changed? Now, obviously, you went
Minnesota in 7.
You went Nuggets in second.
Minnesota in 7.
Yeah, you went. I thought you went Nuggets.
No.
You went Wolves. He went
Oh,
Wolves.
he went Wolves. Yeah,
Wolves in
you went
7.
Wolves in 7. You went Wolves in 7. I went Nuggets in 6.
I think I'm going to change Wolves in 6 now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to take it down a game.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Look, I said it last night. I have to just stick with my prediction until it's mathematically impossible. So it's Nuggets in 6, and if they lose tomorrow, then Nuggets in 7.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at.
So Nuggets,
Okay.
no matter what. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this team come back from 3-1 down twice in a row in
Right.
the bubble.
Yeah.
When Jokic wasn't even at his peak yet.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Yeah, I'm going to stick with mine, too.
yeah,
Wolves in 7.
you're in a perfect spot to stick.
Yeah,
Like,
Wolves in 7.
I'm in more of a tougher spot
Oh, yeah.
because Denver would need to win 3 games in a row,
Yeah.
which is possible, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This team has not been to a game 7 yet since last year's playoffs. They only went to 1 game 6, 2 game 5s, 1 game 4.
If it goes to a game 7, I'll be scared because Murray rises in game 7s.
And you don't expect Denver to play like that at home
Exactly.
again.
Exactly.
And plus, Minnesota went to Denver and up to the altitude fully rested.
Yeah.
Now they're going back not.
I think the Wolves should handle it in 6 if they don't want to get, because if it goes 7, it might be Nuggets.
Getting dicey.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on this? Anything else on this series, this playoffs, this Western Conference?
No. Let's move on.
Well, we have a new segment coming up for you guys. We're about to get into it.
Let's go.
All right, into the final part of the episode. Hope you guys are still tuned in, still with the flow of the video. We'll obviously give Gio the word to comment at the outro. This is going to be a new segment that is more, open debate themed, where we don't really have notes or anything, because obviously we try and memorize stuff to just talk about with our main stuff. But let us know in the comments what you guys want this segment to be called. Give us some name ideas. And basically, each week, one of us will come with a very hefty question that can have, 2 varying sides, and we're just going to debate them, So I'm asking today's question, and these two will kind of debate mainly. I can put some input here and there, and then we'll just rotate it off to each episode. And I think this one is very on brand, considering we were just talking about it earlier. For context, I was talking about this last night with Liv Moods, shout out you, and it was basically something that can really be a difference maker in a series. And I think it kind of correlates back to what we're seeing with the Knicks Pacers with the officiating. So I will ask the main part of this. Should an NBA playoff series only have one set of referees? Or should there be the current form where it's just random 3 refs every game?
Wow. This is interesting. This can go so many different ways.
Yeah.
Now I understand why this is the highly awaited for question. But I want to see what you think first, Antoine, so I can rebuttal.
Oh,
I'm going to just kind of sit back and relax because I don't really need to do much here.
I do want to hear your take, though.
Yeah, I'll give you my take.
oh wow. So to be the same set of 3 for the 7 games.
Right.
Yes. Or, there's always the same 3
Okay.
refs, and obviously if there's an alternate or a booth guy. But mainly, I think we're mainly focusing on the 3 refs that are out on the floor.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's definitely tough. Try not to
I
have too much radio silence.
I think I am perfectly okay with either or. I think I would lean.
Nah, I'm sorry. You have to pick one.
You have to pick one.
I think I'm leaning towards keeping the same refs for the whole series.
Why?
I think that it's hard because I know in baseball, in every series, it's the same umpires. They just rotate their jobs. What happened?
There was a bug in here. Just flew like right in my face.
They just rotate what certain jobs do. Like an umpire is behind the plate, they switch to first, second, third. I don't know if NBA officiating you could switch the roles on the lines behind the board. I think having that same 3 out there for the 7 games helps with knowing the style of the games they play, how the players play. Because if you're having different refs come in, they're going to be calling different fouls on different players that maybe other referees that called the game before wouldn't call. They were back there again the day after.
Right.
I think having the same referees also helps with the flow of play, also with the foul calling, knowing the play styles as well, like I said. And it also kind of helps build, I guess, a relationship with the teams and how they operate on the floor.
I wouldn't say relationship, but I would say they know the history of
They
the
know,
series.
yeah, they know what to expect going into the next game. I think having the different referees also, it's, you have things happen like with the missed calls and how different referees call different things with double dribbles, with fouls, with flagrants, with everything else. A lot of different things.
Right.
I think having the same 3 people there for those, if it's 7 games, 5 games, 6 games, 4 games, helps them out a lot more because they see the same players go out there every day. They know what's going to happen per se on certain plays that the teams are running out. And I just think that helps the players as well. Also, I don't know if giving the players the choice to pick the referees they want.
No, never.
I don't think
Never.
that's ever going to be
Get
an
out,
option.
get out,
Is
get
that
out,
even-
get out of MSG. Get out of MSG.
Yeah, I don't think players are ever going to have
is-
the ability
That's
to.
conflict of interest.
That's
Yeah.
never going to be.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
cannot
Even considered.
happen.
I think if you're choosing the 3 for a series, the players obviously will have no input on.
No, the NBA can't even
Yeah,
have input.
it's
It needs
random.
to be random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So fair enough. I
So
don't know
right
why
now,
I brought
currently,
that
it's
up.
randomly selected.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's randomly selected because Scott
Okay.
Foster will typically get placed in a series that's lopsided to try and extend it.
Okay.
So sometimes maybe the league does have more input into it.
Yeah.
But I do want to hear your rebuttal, though. You have me very curious.
I think he's leaning the other way, but yeah, like I said, I don't think the players are gonna have
No,
that
no,
input
no.
on any sport in general.
Right.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
even
think
one
they
of
would
the
ever
options.
give that at all
Right.
for them.
As much as I want to disagree with you, Anthony, and I really want to disagree with you, I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
I do, and that's because, like you were saying, the style in which they're calling the game, I think, like if another set of refs comes in to the series and they don't really understand the history of the series, like you were saying, Tyler, it could really mess with the players and how they're going to play the game. So like that would also mess with the flow of the series, which would annoy fans watching it. But on the other side of things, I think having the same 3 refs, and I think the reason why they randomized it is to protect the series from ever being like swayed in one direction or the other. Like having, I forget, didn't they have like a series back in the day in like 2002 where the Kings, it was the Kings versus the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals,
Right.
and there was refs that were pretty much rigging for the Lakers to win. And I think that's probably why they started to randomize it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's probably why they started to randomize the series, just in case there's a refs that favored one team above the other.
I mean, there are like all these refs have favorite teams. Like there's like we saw last year in the NBA Finals in Game 2 there was a very questionable goaltending no call from I think it was it Bam? I think Jamal Murray pulled out like a floater, and clearly on the way down, Bam hit it out. Ref didn't call it. Turns out that ref, John Goble, born and raised in Miami, went to high school, played high school basketball with Udonis Haslem.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's where questionable shit happens, right? You saw the whole burner situation with Eric Lewis with Celtic games. So, it's definitely interesting. But
wow. Yeah, that can't happen.
Yes.
If you have a ref that played high school basketball with you,
at the very least,
like, there
needs to be refs that remove themselves from certain situations due to conflict of interest. Because at the end of the day, they have a direct impact.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that, at least in the Knicks-Pacers series, they're the ones that decide the games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think going back to what I was saying about like the players, I don't know if they would ever do anything with it where, like, if certain referees have really bad, I guess, history with both teams in that certain series, I don't think that referee should be assigned. I think the players would probably not want that, and I think that's where the players would come in and say no.
Maybe put in like a request, like for Chris Paul. No Scott Foster in any of these games.
Like if they assign a referee that has a really bad history with both of these teams and they both don't like him.
If it's both teams, then they should be the one reffing.
Yeah.
If they have an issue with both teams or if they're even with both teams, they should be doing it.
Yeah,
I think that's the only point where I can see players interfering, but I don't know. I think obviously if a player chooses a referee or for a series, if they both agree, it's tampering and it's not going to happen at all.
You can't have that. No. The teams can't even be involved.
Yeah, that's why the randomization works, like you said, going with back to what this having the same three. But I don't think if having the same three would favor any teams. At least I would hope it wouldn't.
Well, it's not that it would favor anyone unless you're the Knicks. But for me,
they don't favor us.
For me, game 1.
Yes, game 1 they favored us.
And game 2 of the Philly series.
Wait, so actually, you brought up an excellent point. From what happened in the Knicks-Pacers game 1, say, hypothetically, if we're going this route where all the referees are being for the 7 games, if after the NBA is seeing what happened in that Knicks-Pacers game 1, do you then take back that all those referees being for 7 games, you randomize it for the rest of the series because of what happened in that game 1?
This is where you need to punish refs. Fine them. Suspend them. That's why you have an alternate there.
Wow. Wait, hold on. So you're saying fine and suspend refs for missed calls?
Well, if it's an egregiously bad performance like what we saw in game 1, right? If it's a ref disaster class where they completely change the game themselves, they need to be held accountable.
Okay.
But I think for me, you definitely do need to have the refs for the full series because this Knicks-Pacers series is such an outlier with the refs because the officiating is usually bad, but it's never been this bad. I think with new sets of refs, you're getting very inconsistent whistles, and it's just drawing up a lot more discourse and a lot more chatter amongst just fans. Whereas, like, if a team's getting favored in the first 2 games and then it gets favored to the other team in the 3rd game, the winning team's just going to be, it's like, oh, the refs are favoring these guys.
They're controlling the outcomes.
Exactly. It's about making adjustments to the series when it comes down to the players and the coaches. The refs need to do the same thing. They got to do it. They got to make adjustments, do a better job of what they're doing. I understand it's a very difficult job, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of obvious calls that just get completely missed, or a lot of phantom fouls, or a lot of inconsistent calls. Like you saw Miles Turner set that screen. You got to do a better job of not calling that, or call the Dante DiVincenzo one. Refs need to be held accountable within that sort of globe. And I do think having one set of refs for the entire playoff series make things a lot better.
I agree because we talk about teams, right?
Yeah.
The teams are playing Knicks, Pacers, whatever. But the refs, when they're on the court, they're also a team, and they have to function as one. they're the refs now. They're individuals. They are refs now.
Right.
And they're a part of the refs team. So because they also need to develop a chemistry as well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're not allowing them
depending
to.
on exactly.
Yes.
So that's another reason why I also think I agree with you saying that they should be assigned to a series.
I think another thing too because basketball is such a very fast-paced sport, there's going to be human error elements involved, and it's always going to be a talking point.
Right.
I think, I don't know if the NBA already does this, but maybe they should incorporate something similar to soccer with the VAR room. Where
oh, God, no, that'd be terrible.
Where I don't know if this is two-way. I'm going to get to my point.
Yeah.
If the refs or just one has somebody in their ear constantly, not saying that they're going to call a foul on everything, but that person is just there to tell them, hey, maybe you should review that screen. Like if you're going back on the mouse turn, maybe you should stop and review that and go look. And this person is just going to be there not to just call everything that's a foul that they're not calling, but just someone there that's going to be not a fan of anybody, just in the ear, just to tell them, hey, maybe you should look at that. I think stop and go back and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I disagree heavily. I'm not going to lie.
That too.
Okay.
Because VAR in itself is so flawed in the sense that they can't check for certain things if a certain criteria is not met. Like they can't check for a red card if a player's already offside. Like that's bullshit. Like if someone completely snaps someone's leg, you know, if they're offside, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, right? Because you can get thrown out of the game on a dead ball anyways. We saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker get thrown out of the game during a timeout. So, and I think with VAR too, we see the people running VAR are just as biased as the refs.
Yeah.
So that necessarily wouldn't work in the real world. And plus, that's why we have coaches' challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in a perfect spot where you only get 2 challenges at most. Yeah. So, and you can't give them too much power.
So it doesn't completely ruin the flow.
But the code, like the non-called screen, Carlisle can't challenge that because it's not a called foul.
They did challenge it.
Oh, they did?
Okay, so you
and
can.
upheld?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did.
All right.
That's what made it even more egregious.
Right.
But,
okay.
And then, is there anything on that any other words on that first part of the question? Because there is a second part.
No.
Let's get to the second part.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's get to the second.
For the second part, when I asked Liv the question last night, she had brought up another point in essence of should we have referees just dedicated to the postseason? My voice cracked really badly. I'll ask it again. Should we have refs that are just specifically dedicated for the postseason?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it asks the same question. Why in the NFL they pick certain crews for certain games in the playoffs?
No, but these refs do not do anything in the regular season.
Oh.
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
then
that's what I'm saying.
Then,
We have refs specifically for the postseason.
No.
I don't see how that would work then.
I think if you because that's what they do in there's like 51 refs that are specifically chosen for the playoffs this year. Yeah, but it's for each round. But I think if you have a dedicated set of referees for the playoffs, not only one does that suck for the regular season refs, especially ones that call the game fairly. The playoff refs are in no rhythm. They have no feel for the game.
Yeah, and they haven't been paying attention to what's going on.
And each season has its own unique flow. They have not been there for it.
Yeah, then no. I don't see how you have them sitting home the regular season and they just immediately just pop up come postseason and like, all right, I'm here.
Right.
Like, no.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm going to assume it probably wasn't that. I'm pretty sure that wasn't what she meant because she knows what she's talking about. But as far as refs specifically dedicated for the postseason, I think they definitely need to be in the regular season. But if she was talking about refs that only do postseason, like let's say the refs that did the first round only do the postseason, that I'm fine with.
Okay.
I think the best performing refs should be the ones in the playoffs. The NBA needs to do a job. The NBA needs to start keeping track of evaluating
refs,
the accuracy of calls, the free throw disparities between teams, the bias between teams, stuff like that. How many ejections and technical fouls were given out?
Yeah.
There's so many, like we're in a world of analytics galore. The refs definitely have at least 3 dozen different stats and analytics you can look at. There has to be. The fact that we have like at least like 100 different analytics for our podcast performances, like there has to be something that they can track with the refs. And, you know, I definitely think there needs to be disciplinary actions for refs that are out of order. And it has to.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, the NBA, you're holding players accountable, you're holding coaches accountable. Why can't you hold the refs accountable? I don't understand why.
Yeah.
You have to.
Maybe there's already disciplinary things that could happen to refs if they call, like if they make bad calls consistently. Is there something put in place for that, or
I don't think so.
Yeah, like
everything's private then if it does happen.
I'm gonna look that up.
This is another big issue with baseball and umpires behind the plate with missed calls. And I know Angel Hernandez, big part of it. But I know people want him gone, but I know he's a part of the umpires union, which he can't lose his job because of that. I don't know if the refs have a union where it's similar to this.
Well, obviously, yeah.
So yeah, it's
all referees are a part of a union.
That's why,
at least in the United States.
That's why an automatic strike zone is such a big talking point, because the umpires in baseball are gradually getting worse every year, and it's not even close. So but the NBA does not have a strike zone,
right.
But they still have the ability with calls and fouls and all that stuff. So. I don't think you can get robot umpires or robot referees in basketball. It's not at a point like that yet.
Yeah. Now, here's what Adam Silver says. He says in an interview last February, he said the refs actually are held accountable for bad officiating. We don't know what level that is to,
right.
But he says it's done privately, so they don't publicize any of it. That's fair.
So clearly what's being done is not enough in the sense that they keep doing it. It's almost like
they're humans.
I understand they're humans, but there's always a small percentage of referees that are just egregious. Yeah. And I don't think they've learned from those mistakes. Essentially, that's why you like if Scott Foster got properly fined, he wouldn't have thrown Chris Paul out of that game. The fact that refs are getting in their feelings.
Yeah, that's not
like I really the game that really resonates the most with me is probably the Denver Nuggets Detroit Pistons game it was during their losing streak where it was during the Bulls game on Serbian Heritage Night in Chicago. Obviously scheduled it for that.
Serbian Heritage Night.
Jokic just said something, don't know what it was. It wasn't anything overreactionary. Yeah. The ref just gave him a double tech right away. And the same thing happened in the Pistons game. It was just two very soft techs that threw him and Mike Malone out. Yeah. And you see, obviously, we saw Mike Malone get into the ref's face in game 2. Obviously, that's because the ref knew he fucked up. Yeah. So that's when you see
Wait, did he though? I remember that play, and I didn't think
before that, Jamal Murray got fouled twice by Cat, and then it was a foul on KCP, but Anthony Edwards also kicked him right in the nuts.
He did.
So it's debatable on that end, but there was a foul on Cat. The drive before, and at that point, everything was starting to get out of hand. Malone had to do something. Thought he was going to pick up a tech.
That should absolutely be a tech.
It should have been. No, if it was the regular season, he would have been gone. It would have been.
He went onto the floor and
he was in his face, and I was surprised he didn't get thrown out. But he was really. I could tell what that call, even what the refs have done to him, to just go on the court and just start.
It was a timeout, so
timeout.
It wasn't live ball.
All the way up in his face, didn't hesitate, just went right up to him. And it shows how bad they've been.
I think also it's just I think the last part for me at least is just the outbursts you're seeing from coaches and players. Like we saw last year. Remember when LeBron got fouled by Tatum and Pat Bev brought the camera out? That's just funny. But
that was egregious.
Right. You're looking this year though, when Mike Brown literally just got in the ref's face as he was running down the floor. You're seeing these outbursts from players and from coaches. They're fed up, man. Yeah. They're not putting up with this bullshit anymore. And you're really seeing guys get really pissed off. Or they're doing the reverse and they're taking it out on players, like that flagrant 2 from DeMar DeRozan on Jalen Green. That was kind of just an outburst.
Right.
And look, I think it needs to be. We saw it with Coach Darko with the Raptors. We saw he had that outburst in the post game press conference where he got tossed.
Yep.
So you're starting to see more revolt from NBA players and coaches. But I think NBA officiating is definitely a conversation that we'll be talking about for a very long time on this show, and definitely something we can get into more in the off season. This is probably our longest episode yet. But anything else on this section, and thoughts on just this new segment?
I mean, no, I like it. That's a question that I don't even think was expecting. But I mean, I'm not surprised from what was happening so far. But I hope that this question kind of dies down a little bit as the postseason goes on. I don't want to be talking about this hopefully in the finals.
Hopefully not.
You know, it being a big storyline. I think it should correct itself over time, hopefully.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of episode number 5 of the Floor Spacer podcast. Can't believe we've done over a month of these already. This is crazy.
We're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have been killing it with the support. We're very appreciative of everyone. And and I think, you know, at some point we'll have like some sort of graphic or like a picture or something with like everyone's name that sort of inspired us to kind of start this, and everyone that we're thankful and grateful for this whole journey. And we're just getting started, baby. Like, we ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I will throw it over to you, sir, on the right, or I guess
on
the overlay going that way to you. If people are still with the flow of the video, what should the lovely people comment?
Let's comment degrees.
Degrees.
What?
Why?
You know, I'm just thinking Celsius right now.
Ah.
It really brings that energy.
This is not,
So, like,
not sponsored.
This
is not sponsored.
No, I'm talking about degrees Fahrenheit. I mean degrees Celsius. That's all I'm talking
Degrees.
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just comment degrees.
All right.
Basically, for those who don't know, Gio has ventured into the world of energy drinks.
Yeah.
We had a recording session about a few weeks ago. It was like the week before episode 1. We were kind of just prepping shorts, and bro was exhausted. He had just nothing.
Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah.
He
It was
gone.
late too. So.
No, yeah,
it was not. It
wasn't
was
late.
4
I don't
p.m.,
know.
bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was 4 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were watching one of the games, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, you knocked out cold.
So, actually, it was the day of episode number 1.
I think it was.
We were watching
the Knicks game.
No, we were watching the because he was awake for that one. It was the Lakers. It was the Lakers.
Oh right. And I
The
took a
play-in
nap
game?
right
Yeah,
on
who
the
were they
couch.
playing? No, it wasn't the playing game.
The Nuggets.
No, it was the Lakers and the
Pelicans.
Pelicans. That was what it was.
Oh, okay.
Because we saw them play twice in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, comment degrees.
Yeah.
If you are still with the Flowed video, we obviously know who the real ones are that do comment. Although we don't get a lot of comments on our non-shorts, which is fine.
Yeah.
But obviously, for those of you that are new, hope you all like the stream, not the stream, the podcast. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you hit the notification bell, you will be notified every time we upload, and we do upload daily, all our clips and pods and everything. So outside of this past week, because we had missed a day for the segments, just because I've been behind on editing, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we upload our full show to both YouTube and Spotify, and eventually Apple Podcasts. Also, every day at 4 p.m. Eastern will be our shorts, and then every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday at 4 p.m. will be a segment from the show.
Yep.
Essentially that. Obviously, we upload our Instagrams every day to our reels around 4:45.
Yep.
Expect a lot more interactions from at least them two on the Instagram app, because I can't get in for some reason.
Yep.
We put in like polls and random rating
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I'm gonna start getting more involved with
Yeah,
that.
we should do that.
Yeah.
And putting up like if polls for just who's winning a game for
Yeah, like even like
daily.
if we repost like an NBA post for like game 7 of Cavs Magic, like, who you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously people will see it, even like people that just see our shorts for the first time.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are new, hello.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Welcome.
Antoine, Gio. We're the three random guys, man.
Yep.
3 peas in a pod.
Yeah, essentially what that is.
Get it?
Yeah, 3 points on a 3-pointer.
That's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously we're also getting back to TikTok. We've been a little inconsistent on there. We'll get back to that at some point.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
but
I've just been behind on editing. I just keep losing track of time. So, but yeah, just keep an eye out for all of those.
Yeah.
Obviously, be sure to follow us on all our socials. They're all in the description. Our Spotify has been added there. And also follow our personal accounts, which you can see on the bottom. We're all pretty active, I would say, on most of them. Yeah. Obviously, Anthony's on new accounts for Twitter and Insta, so go check him out on there. And once we hit What was the? It was like a certain sub count we were going to hit for you to 1, download TikTok, and 2, get a Twitter.
Was it 1,000?
1,000.
1,000 for
1,000.
both.
Yeah.
We're
All right,
close.
so we're currently at the time of recording. We were at the time when we started. We were on 664. I'm going to see if we increased from there, which we got +1. So we're up to 665 on YouTube. So once we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, Gio will not only download TikTok, and he will also make a Twitter account.
If TikTok is still around by 1,000, hopefully.
I hope not.
I mean,
I'm just
We'll see.
I really don't want to download TikTok.
at least get the Twitter though. That's
You know,
definitely-
Twitter's basketball news hub.
yeah, literally.
You're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
So, but yeah, essentially that brings us to the end of the episode. That's all from us. We hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. We love you all so much. The support has been unreal. And as always, we will see you next Wednesday.
Let's go.